Check. Good morning. Merry Christmas Eve, Yule Eve, whatever you're celebrating today. However you may be watching. Thanks for making us part of your day. Last show of the week. We're going to make it good. Do have to cut it tight today. Jen's got some shopping to do, and then she's got a big date. And she's very excited about it. Sounds like it's going well.
I swear to God, you just make up shit. It's just, that's your thing. You just make up things.
Do you not have a date today? You don't have a date today?
No.
I thought that's what you said. I must have misunderstood what you said.
You must have. Shocking.
What did you say? Oh, yeah, you have to go with your in-laws. Sorry.
Yeah.
I got confused there.
Yeah, the whole death do us part thing doesn't apply to me, I guess. So
it sounds like you're free for a date if somebody is in the area.
Sure. Even though Spawn probably wouldn't be too. Spawn's not necessarily huge on me. The idea of dating.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Well, maybe bring
Spawn.
Yeah. How is Spawn? Is Spawn awake?
Spawn is awake.
Tell Spawn I said what's up.
All right, I'll tell her.
All right.
Probably come in and be nosy at some point. So.
For those guessing the hat color, this is tan. I think we decided what color this was last time. Maybe. I don't think it's khaki. Isn't khaki darker? I think so. I think it's tan. Get a piece of gum in here. Mouth is dry. Got that damn medication mouth. No pee for Jen Chumar. I'm going to play the song so you don't hear me chewing real quick.
He's trying to fuck RTP. She'll make him better than a cherry. He's trying to fuck RTP. He's trying to fuck RTP.
It gave the wind a white. I don't know about that. I don't think it's a white hat. It's tan. I don't have any natural sunlight today. The windows over there, I usually have some natural sunlight, so it screwed up all my colors. We had a little rain last night. About 1 week a year, we get clouds and rain for a few days, and I think that we're hitting it now for this week. So good time to visit Arizona. It's chilly. It's a brisk. Bring your coat. It's gonna be, man. What are we at today? I went outside this morning, forgot my jacket, and I almost went back and got one. Only 65 currently, high of 71. But we're gonna get down into the next Thursday, a high of 58. Gonna be tough, but we'll make it. There may be a lot of stuff from the Epstein files that I missed from last night. I went and saw Wicked. I hadn't seen the first Wicked. Great movie. Didn't think the music was that good. How did you guys feel about the music at Wicked? None of it rhymed. It was it's a dark movie. Have you guys seen it? Check it at 65. That's cold, and that's cold here. First one's better. I don't know. I didn't love it. My daughter, who also has ADHD, it's 2 hours and 15 minutes is a long time to sit through a movie for a 5, almost 6-year-old with ADHD. She made it. She watched about 1/8 of the movie upside down because she was doing headstands on her seat. Luckily, we were all the way at the back, but she was doing headstands. At one point, she asked me if she could just do cartwheels, which I'm like, I can't do cartwheels in front of people. And then she was pissed off about that. So it was, I don't know. It wasn't great. Also real predictable. Avatar's 3 hours and 17 minutes. Oof. That's a long time. I'm going to say something unpopular. I thought Avatar was terrible. I didn't see the second one. I talked to somebody yesterday who said the first Avatar was the worst, second was better, the third was the best one. So I haven't seen 2 or 3. Yeah, my kid does headstand. My kid does a lot of weird shit in public, which is fine for me. But her mom is far more reserved than I am and easily embarrassed. And my daughter in public, I get stories every single day of my daughter just trying to embarrass her mom in public, which I think is great. Yeah, 3 hours is a long time. What did I do? Jen? You talking shit about me? All right, fine. I'll stay on topic. Here we go. Let's start off with this story. It came out from DHS.
Not currently.
Oh, do you want to
No,
go back to you dating?
Asked what happened to my man when I said I was widowed, and I said he couldn't stay on topic. So. I mean,
Jesus. All right. I don't even know what to do with that. It's rare that I'm speechless, but there you go. All right. Let's talk about Kristi Noem. This from the Washington Post. A couple days. This has been on the outline every day. I just haven't gotten to it because Trump's past been coming out. The Department of Homeland Security fast-tracked a contract worth almost $1 billion to a company led by a donor to a pro-Trump nonprofit group where one of the officials overseeing the deal previously worked, according to records reviewed by the Washington Post. This is going to be a pattern of today's show. Again, there's some Epstein stuff. I didn't think there was a ton of new stuff that came out, so we won't do the whole show on the Epstein files. No show on Friday, and then I assume Monday it'll be heavy. That donor, William Walters, leads another company that received a separate $140 million contract from DHS to purchase 6 Boeing 737 planes used for deportations. I didn't know we were buying planes for deportations. Did you guys know that? No, you can't see. That's right. I forgot. Did you know that we're buying planes? I didn't know that. You knew that? Fuck you guys. That's a lot. That's a lot of money to deport people. The larger contract involves a DHS program called Project Homecoming that offers cash bonuses, free flights, and a concierge service at airports for departing migrants. The program arose from an executive order on the first day of President Trump's second term directing DHS to develop policies to encourage immigrants to leave the country voluntarily, a process the administration calls self-deportation. The agency said nonpartisan professionals control its contracting decisions, but in the case of the Project Homecoming contract, political appointees coordinated the process, emails obtained by the Post show. Are we shocked? Are we shocked? It's nonpartisan, unless it's the Trump administration, in which case we're just going to take control. Kind of like how it's very clear that the Trump administration is taking control of the Department of Justice Twitter handle, and they're now out there like actually replying to just... who was it? It was some like pop culture Twitter account. Cool. That contract went to an Arlington-based company called Salus Worldwide Solutions. According to an official with direct knowledge of the matter, the company was incorporated in June of 2023. Its website describes experience coordinating international travel, disaster aid, and secure facilities. Salus has never received a federal contract before, according to government spending records. It served as a subcontractor on 2 State Department contracts, according to a lawsuit challenging the Project Homecoming contract. Walters, the company's CEO, was a donor to the America First Policy Institute, according to government documentation reviewed by the Post. AFPI does not publicly disclose its donors. The nonprofit recognized Walters as one of 3 recipients of a Patriot Award. Anytime you're seeing these Patriot Awards, this is... Hey guys, this is somebody who gave us a lot of money. Yeah, Bud Russell, I'm crying. It's not Christmas. That's tomorrow. But you're here, Bud. And in Christmas spirit, I want you to know you're welcome to stay here. But I would just say, everybody who's here, I think it's great. If you're working on, if you have a job today and you're working, good for you. That's kind of a shitty thing you're doing, Bud, for showing up to people's jobs and saying, "Oh, you're working on Christmas?" Come on, Bud. Have some Christmas spirit. Mother Jones and the Project on Government Oversight previously reported some of these details. Walters also gave $10,000 in October 2024 to American Resolve, a super PAC run by allies of Homeland Security Kristi Noem that supported Trump in the presidential election, according to federal campaigns finance data. Representatives for the PAC did not respond to an inquiry from the Post. Yeah, because they don't have to. Because for some reason in this country, we've allowed PACs to just do whatever the fuck they want. We still don't know what happened to that $50,000 that old mushmouth got, Tom Homan. We still don't know. No idea. The other company led by Walters, Daedalus Aviation, was incorporated in February 2024. The process leading that contract was not immediately clear. Federal law prohibits government contractors from contributing to campaign or political committees, but Walters and his company were not contractors at the time, and the ban does not extend to nonprofit groups. They just know the workarounds for everything. I'm so tired of it's so frustrating sometimes to turn on the internet. Turn on my computer. I've tried to not let my phone be a source of news during the day. I have to go to the computer and sit down and work. And I fucking hate my computer now. I hate it because I know I'm about to just be inundated with shit. And last night I was out at the movie with my daughter, got home kind of late, didn't put in a lot of work last night, so I had to wake up this morning, and it was just fuck, just all morning, just one shit show after another. And I don't even know. I don't even know if we got half the stuff that's out there today. That's why I make the big money. That's right. I'm fucking loaded. Absolutely loaded. Which is a reminder, we are crowdfunded, so anything you guys could do to help us knock out the gift goal, which is now visible, that'd be greatly appreciated. That's how we pay our bills around here. And that's why we work Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to noon Pacific Standard Time, right here, wherever you're watching today. All right. Thanks, Zach. I appreciate that. I want to show you this clip from Rahm Emanuel. He was obviously worked in the Obama administration. Some are saying he's trying to maybe position himself now as a Democrat presidential nominee. I don't like that. But the reason I want to show this clip is because I think that Rahm Emanuel is somebody who is going to be data driven when it comes to politics. He's trying to get the pulse of what people want to hear in the upcoming presidential election, and that's why he's doing this messaging. And I think he's right. I think that first of all, I don't want Rahm Emanuel to win, and I don't think he has a shot in hell. But I think he's right with this messaging.
Era counterterrorism policies. A lot of critics say there are way too many drone strikes. The further I get from that time in government, I tend to agree with them.
Really?
And I tend to feel like the so-called, war on terror writ large has been an abject failure when you see Al-Qaeda-like affiliates, ISIS spreading everywhere, right? Now, the counterpoint to that is when you were chief of staff, 2009, 2010, there were some real deal, scary threats to the United States. The Christmas Day bomber, Times Square bomber.
The guy from Colorado. I'll walk you through that story.
Najib al-Azazi.
Thanks, Johnny. Good to see you, buddy. Merry Christmas. And Mel said Merry Christmas Eve. Thank you.
Right? That's right.
I'll never forget. Yes.
Near misses. Luck saved us from catastrophe, right? And then there were these counterterrorism policies, and a lot of those things haven't happened again. So I'm just curious, when you reflect on that time and you think about how you'd keep the country safe from terrorism, how that informs your thinking.
I've always, so I don't know if you remember this story. Some young man in the NSA picked up a word on the telecommunications that said the marriage worked. And he just caught him and says, nobody says that. And then he starts to unravel this and where the call was originated and made. Now,
yeah, that's the yeah. That's the Rahm you're talking about, Kevin. Again, there's way too much dirt on Rahm Emanuel, and I don't think he's he's an incredibly boring person. I don't think he has a shot, but he's making a good point here.
All the smarty pants poo-pooed this kid. Well, I said, and not just me, but the president, myself, Biden, well, run it down. Turns out, they find out, he goes to Walmart, buys 10 backpacks. He goes to one of those kind of bulk buying, when you buy stuff for the beauty show, all these giant cases that are essential materials for homemade bombs. And then all the smarty pants who thought the kid was out of his mind because he caught.
It's too many times saying smarty pants too. I think we can't trust anybody who says smarty pants. He needs to be gifted a personality. This is a tough way to start the show. I understand here. We're gonna have to make fun of him to get through this a little bit.
The word, the marriage worked. That's what you say after 20 years, not in 10 seconds. That he was onto something.
Yeah, Jesse.
Then we started finding other stuff in his credit card, and then we put helicopters, and we find out he's starting to drive
to New York, right?
To New York.
Yeah.
And we had cars to New Jersey. So I'll never forget that 96 hours. I must have aged, and I think the president did too. And we aged, although we had confidence we had him, in the sense we had him in our line of vision. But that was breathtaking, and there were other events that you have identified.
This guy named Najib al-Azazi, who, along with two friends, was going to blow up the New York City
And
subway.
I don't know if you remember, but the FBI got ahead of the police department. Or no, I think
Somehow
the police
we lost
department.
them.
No, the
Changed
police
it.
department moved ahead. It is a classic case of the FBI and local law enforcement not exactly being on the same page. But that said, got him before anything, and the imam. No, it's not clear whether he knew it or was protecting him or was acting like he didn't know him, et cetera, or what his intent was.
If you're wondering where they're going with this, the question which was asked and the roundabout way in which Rahm Emanuel is getting there is, like, did our actions under the Obama administration, did our actions to counter terrorism with the drone policy and the drone policy that was continued on during the Trump administration and to some extent quelled a bit during Biden administration, and then we're seeing a massive acceleration. Looking back from 2008 until now, like, was it a success? Did it make things better? And you guys can answer this question. Is it, Bud, do you need some attention? Bud, you got about 5, Bud, you got to stay on topic here. We got to get rid of you. I don't know what's going on with you today, Bud. I don't know why you can't. I'm in a better mood than normal, but come on, dude. But you guys answer the question yourselves. Did it make anything better? Can you guys remember before 2001, before September 11th, were we consistently worried about terrorism? No. Did we turn on the news every day and it was another terrorist attack? No. Did we have just like every day? It's like, I didn't know that fucking war, like it was going on in Sudan. Wait, what's going on in Syria? Wait, Lebanon now? We got Lebanon now? Algeria? What the fuck is going on every day? I can't even tell you all the places that wars are going on. Did it make it better? Nah, it's consistently made it worse. And I think we need to, like, I wish MAGA could get on board with us here. I wish you guys could abandon your deep-throated love for Donald Trump and remember who you were a year ago. A year ago, you were no new wars, no regime change wars. Tulsi Gabbard's with us because we don't believe in regime change wars. And now you're doing regime change wars. All right, Bud, you're gone. Somebody get rid of Bud. I'm tired of Bud. Bud, have a good Merry Christmas to you, Bud. Go fuck yourself. Find a stream with dumber people. My ADHD is in full effect today, so I can't be distracted too much there, Bud. I just wish somebody, where's, do we have any of our MAGA here? Is Drew here? Can we get some of you guys on board with just like, let's not go to war? Like now we're talking about taking Greenland. Canada's worried about being taken over. We're running like when you're online and if you're on Facebook or Twitter specifically, and suddenly you come across a bunch of posts about like the freedom of speech being canceled in the UK or freedom of speech being canceled in Canada. In fact, who was it today? Just barely we had people. I can probably pull this up. I'm trying to remember what her role was. Sarah something or other. She works for the State Department. She's just like mass tweeting all of these people that the U.S. has sanctioned. In the last like 12 hours, the U.S. has sanctioned like 50 different people in different countries for like applying speech laws in their country. And now we're sanctioning people if they silence the speech of any conservative or conservative adjacent. Most of them are just Nazis. If any of their speech gets silenced, now the U.S. is sanctioning them. We are desperate to rule the world. We're not like we're not America first. We're not doing that whole, we don't want to be the world's police force. Good. We went from, we don't want to be the world's police force to, we are the world's police force. And MAGA didn't skip a fucking beat. They just jumped. It was overnight. They just did it. They didn't have to be convinced. They didn't have to say like, well, here's why we're changing our policy. Trump just changed his policy and MAGA just pretended that that was their policy all along. They just immediately went.
So to me, I haven't, Tommy, I got to be honest. I hadn't really thought about it in the sense, did our actions have a reaction that made the situation worse?
Yeah, it is Rahm Emanuel. Sorry, Papas.
I do think you have to think about two things. One, people are trying to do harm to the United States. our border, specifically on the south, have been used by enemies for their advantage. And you have to be, that doesn't, Donald Trump pulling people's green cards, not letting kids go to school. That's not the end. That's
Right.
not,
It's crazy.
But I haven't thought a lot recently about whether the policies we were pursuing in the quote unquote, in the name of the war on terror, both overseas and here, actually perpetuated or accentuated. Because I think actually on one scorecard, we haven't really had a local terrorism attack vis-a-vis kind of a 9/11 like.
Yeah.
So at one level, from a homeland front, it has worked. Whether it has created its own
Get to it, bud.
the terrorist cells, there's as many before.
Is he missing a finger? Did you know is he missing a finger or half a finger there? Sorry, distracted. Those are two different things, though, and I think this is one of the ways that like our military and our government lies to us. Preventing attacks on the homeland has nothing to do with us going to Iraq, to Afghanistan. Like, it has nothing to do with us going to Venezuela. These are different things. They have used the attack on 9/11 and virtually and anything else. Literally, October 7th somehow. They use that to then take corporate interests and go try and do regime change all over the world, which creates more radicals. To say that, like, Rahm Emanuel is saying, on one hand, it worked over here, it didn't work over there. Yeah, because they're separate. They're different things. Yeah, I just said that out loud, Truth Hurts. Do you want to come up here and talk to me today, or are you going to stay in the comments today?
just more of them spread out and smaller. That just may
Still,
be
maybe
both
still.
of those are happening in real time, which is we protected the home front, but we've created more threats overseas.
Yeah, it's complicated.
There you go. Chief of Staff, after 4 minutes from Obama, just admitting it. These wars create more enemies. Interfering in other countries creates more enemies. And they silenced CBS from playing that piece about immigration. We're going to get to that. That's not true. I will. You're happy. You can say anything you want against me, Seth. I just want you to stay on topic, right? So, for example, we were playing that last clip. If I said that we've created more enemies, you could say, RTP, you dumb motherfucker. That didn't create new enemies. How did that create new enemies? Or you could make a different argument, and then you could stay here. But if I'm reading that and you go, why aren't you talking about Minnesota or something like that? Then we got to get rid of you. We just have to stay on topic here. We treat this like a classroom setting. You have to stay here. But you are welcome to say anything about me as long as it's on topic. Any sort of insult you want, as long as it's about me and it's on topic. Some of them are funny. Some of you guys are actually pretty funny, and I like them. Thank you. Yeah, I agree with that, Truth. 9/11 had nothing to do with going to Afghanistan. What? What are you talking about? No, I didn't say. All right, Truth Hurts. You're going to have to come up here one of these times and talk, because I feel like maybe you don't understand what I'm saying ever. Do you think I said that 9/11 didn't have anything to do with this going to Afghanistan, or are you saying that? Because, like, I agree. When you have Saudi-funded terrorists, most from Pakistan, attacking our buildings on 9/11, and then our response was to go to Iraq and then to Afghanistan. And then we found bin Laden in Pakistan. Yeah, I think that going to Afghanistan was a mistake. I don't think that's what it is. Does anybody think that that's what I said? That 9/11, what was it, had nothing to do with going into Afghanistan? I don't think that's what I said, bud. If I did, I misspoke, and I apologize for that. But like, if you've watched this show, you know where I stand when it comes to our invasion of Afghanistan. It was wrong to go there. And I don't think that it had anything to do with 9/11. I think we said it did, but it sure didn't. We know the truth now. We didn't have weapons of mass destruction. Yeah, it was for opium. Thank you, Nadog. And for infrastructure. I think that's the other part that a lot of people don't talk about enough. We talk about going to Iraq and Afghanistan for their resources, but a lot of it's also infrastructure. A lot of it is for, like, construction contracts. So, like, Halliburton, for example, like we're already mentioning Halliburton, and I'll get to that clip here in a minute. But, like, in Venezuela, we're going to send in Halliburton. What's Halliburton going to do? They're going to rebuild. So a lot of it is like we just go in and bulldoze the place, and then these contractors get these contracts to build it back up, because then we say, oh, we have to have trusted contractors. We'll work with your country, but our contractors need to come in and take care of this. All right. Let's go here. Let's just do this. I want to show this video real quick, and then I'm going to show the 60 Minutes video. I have no idea if we're going to get in trouble for showing the 60 Minutes video. We're going to find out real fast. I wanted to show this video, though. ICE agents this was in September. They went to a business in New York at a nutrition bar manufacturing plant. Let's get a couple things straight here. It appears that at least 21 people who worked at this the nutrition bar manufacturing plant were undocumented immigrants, and they were deported. At least 21 that I know of. However, ICE went in there and they had a warrant, and their warrant was to check documentation. Once they were in the building, they detained people unlawfully, violating their Fourth Amendment. They demanded to see their identification, and they did this. This is a women's bathroom. You can see right there.
It's a foot. It's resistance. Yeah. Hang it. Got it? Necesitas abrir la puerta ahora. Tell me back up. Necesitas muevas. Vamos a abrir la puerta. Con fuerte. He's in there. I got it. Ready? Yep. Get down! Get down! Get on the ground! Females. Siéntese ahora. Siéntese. No te muevas. Miss, pull up your pants, come out of the bathroom. Pull up your pants, come out of the bathroom. Pull up your pants, come out of the bathroom.
Didn't you guys are the like protect women's bathrooms, right? That's you guys still? Got it. But freedom, Constitution, that's your whole party. Women's bathrooms, Constitution. We're violating the Constitution here. We're invading a women's bathroom with masked men.
Okay, please hurry. Okay. Señoritas, conmigo, a mis compañeros, por la puerta.
Yeah. Yeah, well, look, who was that? The gradual decay. I don't think men dressed as women should go into a women's bathroom. I think that's silly, but they can already do that. I can dress up as a woman, shave my face, and go into a woman's bathroom. There's nothing you can really do about that. That can already happen. What I don't want is law enforcement, who, by the way, has no right to be in here arresting people anyways, breaking into a women's bathroom. Now, their story is, and this is according to them, that this woman, when they came into the building, she ran and went and hid in the bathroom. She can. They're not allowed to do this. She can do whatever she wants. If they want to catch her, if she's here illegally, they have to do it the lawful way. Think about the justification here. And this is what they're saying, is they're saying like they had a warrant, but then once they were inside the building, they realized there were additional crimes, and they get to now go and arrest people. Think about what that means. All they need is a warrant to get into the building, and then they can do things that they can't get a warrant for. That's what we have. Like when we say brown shirts, we mean brown shirts. I understand that you guys don't, that you MAGA folks, that you don't like immigrants and you want them all gone. But your willingness to ignore constitutional rights, they detained something like, I think it was 57 people here. 57 people here they detained. They were questioned and stuck in a break room. Out of those 57, 21 got deported. That means the rest of them had their rights violated. And that's where we're at. But they were Hispanic, right? So you don't fucking care. We just don't want this. We want rights to exist. I think we all feel like we live in a police state. There are cameras everywhere. I just saw a ruling today from a judge in, I think it was Virginia, might have been Pennsylvania, a Republican appointed judge who said that now your search history can be available to law enforcement without a warrant. If they want to look into you, they can go to Google. And the argument, just so you know, the argument that the judge laid out and that approved was, well, they already sell your data, So the police could just go buy your data, and since they can purchase your data, now they can have it for free. I don't think you folks recognize the police state that's being created here. It's going. You think that they're going to give it back? They never give it back. ICE was invented, created to go after terrorists after September 11th, and now we're here. And now judges are using the actions of ICE, and they're saying, we can take it even further. You are running out of rights, and you're cheerleading it. God bless Trump. Yeah, he's gonna need God. He's got some explaining to do to God here soon. Hey, Amy Lynn, thank you very much. I know you're going through a lot, and so I appreciate that. Betsy said, Merry Christmas to you, Jen, and your families. Thank you. Very, very appreciated. You guys are wonderful. And I appreciate everybody who's watched us this year and donated to us this year. It's been really sweet. Lorraine said, have the best holiday. You're the best. Thank you. Jocelyn said, get Biotine mouth rinse for dry mouth. I also get dry mouth from meds. Makes a difference. Thank you. Biotine. Okay. Yeah, Jen, I hear you on the video. Ivory said, not all heroes wear capes. Some stream on Christmas Eve, so I have something to listen to while I wrap presents questionably dressed. I assume that means she's in some sort of elf costume. Thank you, Ivory. All right, let's play this video. So 60 Minutes, which we covered the other day. In fact, did I have more on this? I can't remember if I had more on Barry Weiss. I think I covered mostly. We all know the story. Barry Weiss killed this story the night before it was going to go live. And Barry Weiss killed this story from 60 Minutes because she said the administration didn't respond, or the administration didn't give their side of the story. But the administration was contacted multiple times. Both Kristi Noem, DHS, the Trump administration, everybody involved was contacted, and nobody would respond. So they, like you would as a journalist, you give people an opportunity to respond. They don't respond. You publish the story. Barry Weiss stepped in last minute and then killed the story. Then the following day, they had a conference call, which Barry Weiss is always on, and she didn't take questions and she didn't talk. She waved and said Merry Christmas and sat in a car and didn't talk. So they killed this story, which is why I'm showing it. For whatever reason, the Trump administration and Barry Weiss don't want you to see this story, so we're going to show it to you.
Well, earlier this year, when the Trump administration...
You're confusing, by the way, Liam, you're confusing America and your masturbatory love for Donald Trump. You guys don't love America, you love Donald Trump, and it's weird and it's culty. Everything I've argued so far and everything we'll argue here, we're going to argue within the Constitution. Is Trump keeping the law? Yes or no? If he's not, and I'm saying, and I'm pointing out that he's not keeping with the law, then I'm pro-America. If you are advocating that he and his thugs get to break the law, you are anti-American. There's a difference. We're not in a cult. I don't have a clue. All right, cool, Liam. You can come up here and correct me for anything I get wrong. Just a reminder to any of the trolls and MAGA in the chat. I know it's difficult sometimes to use the internet, but you can come up here and talk to me any day. If you look at the Venmo username, that's Jen's Discord username. You can just add her on Discord. She can bring you in and talk to me live on the air. You can correct all this. I'll pull up any source you want me to pull up. We'll look at all of this together. I would like, if I'm getting things wrong, I would like you guys to show me where I'm getting wrong. But it seems like most of you want to just say, you're wrong, and you don't really know why. I think that most of you are just having big feelings, and that's understandable. I have a 5-year-old daughter, and when things get overwhelming for her, sometimes like if there's too many noises and she's trying to concentrate, she gets very frustrated. And she sometimes gets angry and she lashes out because there's so much noise and her brain isn't processing it. She can't figure it out, and that's frustrating. And because I have a 5-year-old daughter, I understand MAGA. I understand what it's like to be you guys. It's hard. Everybody's using big words and they're reading stuff. And there's multiple things that you need to read. And you have to kind of connect some dots here. And you have to go to different sources to get your information. And I understand that that's tough. Okay? And I understand that during this Christmas season, all you want to do is just turn on the TV and have people deep-throating Donald Trump, and they're not. And that's frustrating. And sometimes things don't go your way. So we're here for you. We're here for you this Christmas season, and we worry about your frustration. We want to help clear it up. So what we're going to talk about today is CCOT. It's a prison in El Salvador, run by an El Salvadoran dictator who killed crime allegedly in his country by locking up tens of thousands of people, many of whom with no known connection to actually to real cartels, just seemed to be anybody who opposed him, he threw in prison. And then the United States paid him a bunch of money to take our prisoners and torture them so that we didn't have to be responsible for it. And this is the story of the CCOT prison where we are torturing people there without due process. Some of them are not from El Salvador, and some people there didn't get due process, and some are still there being tortured today.
Administration deported hundreds of Venezuelan men to El Salvador, a country most had no connection to. The White House claimed the men were terrorists, part of a violent gang, and invoked a centuries-old wartime power, saying it allowed them to deport some men immediately without due process. An unusual strategy that sparked an ongoing legal.
Unusual because the Supreme Court has ruled multiple times and affirmed multiple times that if you are here illegally, as long as you have due process. And at certain processes you may be due that others aren't. Like if you're an asylum seeker, you are due different processes than somebody who is here illegally. But if you are here, I guess I should have said if you're here and you're not a citizen, you are due a process. And the process that these folks are due is a day in court.
Battle. Tonight, you'll hear from some of those men. They describe torture, sexual and physical abuse inside CCOT, one of El Salvador's harshest prisons, where they say they endured 4 months.
Wrong, no name. Check with the Supreme Court. Illegal, you spelled illegal wrong. Illegal aliens, as defined by our laws, do have due process, and the Supreme Court has affirmed that. Your big feelings don't change any of that. The Supreme Court says they do have due process, which is why Kilmar Abrego Garcia is here in this country and no longer in CCOT, because the courts ruled that he had to be returned for the process that he was due.
Of hell. It began as soon as the planes landed. The deportees thought they were headed back to Venezuela, but then saw hundreds of Salvadoran police waiting for them on the tarmac.
To be clear, these people are not, Abrego Garcia is not a narco-terrorist, Chunk Norris, sorry. Abrego Garcia has not even, there's no evidence that he committed any crimes when it comes to narcotics trafficking. So what you're doing right now is you're doing this thing that all MAGA does, where you're about to see a video that you know is going to be uncomfortable, and you do something called poisoning the well, where you say, what I'm about to watch, here's the conclusion already. These are narco-terrorists, and this streamer is going to defend them. That's not what happened here. So let's watch.
Shackled, they were paraded in front of cameras, pushed onto buses, and delivered to CCOT, El Salvador's notorious maximum security prison.
En el momento en que llegamos, el director del SECOT.
When we got there, the SECOT director was talking to us.
Y lo principal.
The first thing he told us was that we would never see the light of day or night again.
El día ni la de la noche.
He said, "Welcome to hell. I'll make sure you never leave."
Did you think you were going to die there?
We thought we were already the living dead, honestly.
We met Luis Munoz Pinto in Colombia. He was a college student in repressive Venezuela and hoped to seek asylum in the United States.
Actually, Chunk Norris, due process does mean that you get a court case. You don't get a jury, you go to an immigration court. That's the process that you're due.
In 2024, he says he waited in Mexico until his scheduled appointment with U.S. Customs and Border Protection in California. During that interview,
they just looked at me and told me I was a danger to society.
You have no criminal record.
I never even got a traffic ticket.
Nevertheless, he was detained by Customs. He says he spent 6 months locked up in the U.S., waiting for a decision on his asylum case when he was deported.
Thank you, Becky. Does that include incognito and VPN searches? I don't know what you're saying. That they can, I don't know. good question. I'm not sure on that, Zazu. I don't know how. I'm not super tech savvy, as most people here will tell you. So I don't know with incognito mode and VPN searches how those are stored. Not sure. Medra said, "Christ is born. Merry Christmas, everybody. Merry Christmas to all our Christian friends out there. For those who are not Christian, don't celebrate Christmas. Happy whatever you're celebrating or not celebrating. But to our Christian brothers and sisters and friends, Merry Christmas to you." Danielle said, "I thought conservatives said no men's and women's bathroom. They didn't mean that."
One of 252 Venezuelans sent to CICOT between March and April. Inside, he says, their hands and feet were tied. Forced to their knees, their heads were shaved.
There was blood everywhere, screams, people crying, people who couldn't take it and were urinating and vomiting on themselves. When you get there, you already know you're in hell. You don't need anyone else to tell you.
He says the guards began savagely beating them with their fists and batons.
Tell me about what they did to you personally.
4 guards grabbed me, and they beat me until I bled, to the point of agony. They knocked our faces against the wall. That was when they broke one of my teeth.
CICOT, the Terrorism Confinement Center, was built in 2022 as a key part of Salvadoran President Nayib Bukele's sweeping anti-gang crackdown. The massive prison, designed to hold 40,000 inmates, and its harsh reputation are a point of pride for Bukele, who regularly allows social media influencers to tour it.
As you can see, we're literally in the middle of the desert.
Like I understand that a lot of people don't like criminals. I don't like criminals. I don't like gangs. I don't like drug traffickers. This is inhumane. It's not safe. It's not sanitary. It's not humane. For a country that, like, we just got back from Turning Point USA, and they talked about being a Christian nation. You think Jesus would lock people in prisons like this? Yeah, it's a good point. This does look like what we would see coming out of North Korea. This is what we see coming out of all dictatorships, which is exactly where this is, a dictatorship. I don't want people treated like this. I don't know why so many of you conservatives are so hell-bent on being cruel to people, but I don't get it. I really don't. Like, I know somebody personally who killed their kids, tried to kill my friend. She's in prison the rest of her life. She doesn't get this treatment. People in this country that murder, that abuse children, they don't get this treatment. But these people who are simply just here illegally are getting this treatment? You want this type of cruelty to somebody who just simply came here illegally? I thought I would love America to be better than this. I would love America to stop beating off to dictators. I don't understand you MAGA folks. I don't understand why cruelty gets your dicks hard. But you got some issues. You may want to see a therapist because this is fucking sick.
Show off cramped cells where metal bunks are stacked 4 high. There are no mattresses or sheets. Inmates said they had no access to the outdoors and no contact with relatives.
Thank you. Good point. Ghislaine Maxwell, sexual predator, gets moved to a cushier facility. None of you guys say a word. Donald Trump pardons Hernandez, a known drug trafficker from Honduras. Not a peep from any of you. You do not care about crime. You just like cruelty to people that you view as your opposition. I think that if Nancy Pelosi was in here, let's say that Nancy Pelosi got caught for insider trading and sent to CICOT and was in this line, you would cheer that on too. But you're the same people who complained about the conditions of the J6 prisoners, the people who actually committed violent crimes, and they were just in American jails. They didn't even deal with this. And you were told by your administration that they were treated so poorly that they deserved, even though they committed crimes, they deserved to be let out because of the poor conditions that they were in. And then you celebrate this. The hypocrisy, it doesn't even matter anymore. You don't care about the hypocrisy. It's not even worth pointing out. It's just straight cruelty, hatred, division, Team sport, blood sport. None of you would give a fuck if this was me or anybody on this side of the aisle. You would celebrate it.
National observers warned CCOT was violating the UN standard for minimum treatment of prisoners. And 2 years ago, during the Biden administration...
Listen, you're not a normie. People who say normies aren't normies. Just so we're clear on that. If you're like normies takes, those are your internet friends, bud. You're talking about your internet friends. Normal human beings don't say normies. Regular human beings that live out in the world don't call people normies. This is deeply unpopular. Polling says this is deeply unpopular. You just hang around with a bunch of shit fucks on the internet. That's what it is. We're the normal ones. Cool.
The U.S. State Department cited torture and life-threatening prison conditions in its report on El Salvador. But this year, during a meeting with President Bukele...
Oh, we'll get to the Epstein files' gradual decay. Don't worry about it. We'll get to that.
At the White House, President Trump expressed admiration for El Salvador's prison system.
They're great facilities, very strong facilities, and they don't play games.
In March, the U.S. struck a deal to pay El Salvador $4.7 million to house Venezuelan deportees at CCOT.
All right, Nate's memes. Where did I misrepresent the truth about the criminal records of these inmates? The only person I've talked about so far is Abrego Garcia. Abrego Garcia, there's no part of his record that would say that he is a narco-terrorist. That's the only person I've talked about so far. However, no matter the crime that any of these people committed, and some of them we know, like Abrego Garcia, and I forget the other guy's name that was the hairdresser, they committed no crime, and they were sent here and treated this way, and their only crime was being an immigrant. That was it. So if you want to correct something I say, do that, but be specific, would you? Because I'd like to know what I'm missing here. I'd like to know what drug trafficking crime warrants this type of detention.
These are heinous monsters, rapists, murderers, kidnappers, sexual assaulters, predators who have no right to be in this country, and they must be held accountable.
The U.S. government said these people are the worst of the worst.
These people are migrants. And the sad reality is that
I got to explain all these things to you. Manuel, you said nobody did due process when my family members from the police force were killed point blank. The process that your family members, and I'm sorry to hear about that, the process that your family members are due is a trial. Due process is the process that you are due from the government, right? I can't give you due process. You are due no process from me, and I am due no process from you. It's the process that the government guarantees that you are due, whether you are the victim of a crime or whether you committed the crime. What you're talking about right now is emotional manipulation that people do when they want to take away people's rights. They sell you on what about the police officers? What about Lake and Riley? The process that the police officers who have been assaulted or shot or killed in Lake and Riley, the process that they were due is a court case, a court hearing. And the process that the person who killed Lake and Riley, did we take that person and send them to CCOT? We didn't. We had a court case, didn't we? Kind of proves the point, right? Lake and Riley's family was in court while their killer was adjudicated as a killer. That was the process due to him, even though he's a criminal, even though he killed Lake and Riley. That's the point here.
U.S. government tried to make an example out of them. They sent them to a place where they were likely to be tortured, to send migrants across Latin America the message that they should not come to the United States.
Juan Papier is a deputy director at the nonprofit Human Rights Watch.
Nobody's missing that point. Manuel, stop talking about your feelings. You whiny little bitch. Honestly, stop talking about your fucking feelings. Nobody's talking about whether or not people have come here illegally and committed crimes. Of course they have. We're talking about our government's response to it. It's not about your feelings. Toughen up.
Report released in November, the organization concluded there was systematic torture and other abuses at CCOT, and that nearly half of the Venezuelans the U.S. sent there had no criminal history.
See that number? I'm owed an
released in
apology now.
November, the organization concluded there was systematic torture and other abuses at CCOT, and that nearly half of the Venezuelans the U.S. sent there had no criminal history.
Not only did they have no criminal history, they also aren't citizens of El Salvador. They are Venezuelans. So now we're doing human trafficking. By every definition, that is human trafficking. 50%, no criminal history. And now if you want to say, well, they were here in the United States illegally, that's a criminal history. You don't have a criminal history unless you have had due process and you have a history of criminality. So yes, illegal entry is a misdemeanor. It can become a felony, but the only way for it to become a felony conviction is if you are convicted, which happens through the court system. So that means at least 50% of these people were not granted due process. And look, the chat's going to piss you off today, but I just want to put, like, I don't think that the chat, the Republican dipshits here in the chat, I hope that that's not indicative of America. And maybe some of them will listen and understand what we're talking about here. Venezuelans, let me show you. Sorry, we got to pull up a map here because we're doing geography now, and MAGA is educated in MAGAville. Just pull up the map here real quick. Here is Venezuela. See this right here? See these lines? That's the border. This is Venezuela. Next to Venezuela is Colombia. You have, what do we have? Brazil, I think, borders it. Right here is El Salvador. You'll notice that El Salvador is a different country than Venezuela. So if you come from Venezuela and you come to the United States and you cross the border into the United States and they determine that you're here illegally, they are to send you back to Venezuela. Now, we had some remain in Mexico policy where some of these people remained in Mexico at the time because the Mexican government agreed to go along with that, which was cool of them. It's very nice, Mexico. Thanks for doing that. But instead of sending them back to this country, which is Venezuela, which is where they live, we sent them to a different country. And we put them in a maximum security prison where they sat like ass to face for a misdemeanor that they didn't even get convicted of. This is why we've got problems with you. I understand that you don't like people who are here illegally. I get it. That's fine. I think it's fine that you have that opinion. Right? And it's fine that you want to deport everybody here illegally. I have a different opinion. We can argue whether or not what the best solution is, whether it's amnesty or it's mass deportation. We can have that argument. But you guys have gone so far past that. What you've decided is not only do we need mass deportation, but we need to do it in the most cruel way possible. And we need to take people's rights and their humanity away from them. And the idea is that you will scare people so bad that it'll never happen again. And even if that were true, even if all of what Trump's doing deters illegal immigration in the future, you did it at the expense of other human beings. You decided to be cruel and torture other human beings to scare them from coming here again. And from the Christian right, that's a bizarre take. That's a bizarre position to hold, that we have to be cruel and torture people. All right, back to this.
Only 8 of the men had been convicted of a violent or potentially violent offense.
3.1%. Convicted of a violent or potentially violent offense. What did they say about Abrego Garcia? Your government lied to you about Abrego Garcia, by the way. They said Abrego Garcia was a drug trafficker, was a human trafficker, was a known member of a gang. They have proved none of that. In fact, I accurately predicted when Abrego Garcia was in CCOT, I accurately predicted that the courts would force his return, and that when he did return, the Trump administration would make up a bunch of charges about him, and that those charges would never stick. And that's exactly what happened. If you are not buried inside of Trump's asshole, licking up the remains of the fish fillet that have come down through that bloated digestive system, It is pretty clear, and it's easy to predict this stuff. We can predict your reactions. We can predict what you will say. I know what you guys are going to say every day before you come here, and we all do. We all knew exactly how you would respond to this. You are programmed. 3.1% of the people being tortured in this prison that we sent there out of our country, 3.1% convicted of a violent or potentially violent offense, while fine, if you want to support that, support it. But then when Trump takes violent offenders and pardons them, hold that same energy. No, I can't, because I'm in his asshole. It's where I live. It's how I get my sustenance. I can't remove myself from Trump. So what I have to do now is I have to compartmentalize. If Trump does something, it must be for the right reasons always. None of what you're saying ever makes any fucking sense.
How do you know they weren't gang members?
We cross-reference federal databases in all 50 states in the United States, and also obtain criminal records in Venezuela and in the countries where these people lived. And the information we obtained in the United States is based on data provided by ICE.
So ICE's own records said...
ICE's own records say that only 3% of them had been sentenced for a violent or potentially violent crime.
60 Minutes.
Defreeze is a terrible precedent to set, regardless of political affiliation, that our government can stop any story they don't like from going live by simply not responding. Yes, it's the worst possible precedent. And MAGA, you cheerleading this it's not getting you what you think it's going to get you. It's just going to get you further and further away. Like, our government already lies to us. Stop cheerleading them when they do it now. You're giving them more cover. Rebel Heart said, considering who is statistically found to have a child, what? I'm not sure what that means. Not sure what that means.
Reviewed the available ICE data. It confirms the findings of Human Rights Watch. It shows 70 men had pending criminal charges in the U.S., which could include immigration violations. We don't know because the Department of Homeland Security has never released a complete list of the names or criminal histories of the men it sent to CECOT. Rapid deportations have been a key part of the Trump administration's...
Listen, Jeff, when you say that, like, we're acting like it's one-sided, it is one-sided right now, Jeff. Only one party is in control of the government right now. This is Donald Trump's administration. The Democrats are not helping with this. The Democrats are actively opposing this. When Democrats support this stuff, I call them out too. But why do you guys do this all the time? Like, this is what the complaints have been about this story from Republicans. It's one-sided. It's biased. Sorry. Our job is not, the media's job is not to cheerlead the government. Our job's not to cheerlead the government. Our job is to hold them accountable. If you refuse to hold the government accountable and get mad at everybody who tries to hold the government accountable, then the next time you're not in power, nobody will take you seriously. And this is where we're at. It's just progressively, we've become so divided that, like, when your party's in power, you don't take it seriously. We have admitted many times, I've admitted many times, that during the Biden administration, I was critical of some of the things he did. But looking back with hindsight, I was not critical enough. And there were times that, like, it's pretty clear that my own bias led me to not cover stories in the same way that I might cover them now. That's something I have to learn from. It's something that all of us have to learn from. But this should be a slam dunk. This is an easy one. This was an easy one. Where was my efforts the last 4 years? Well, first of all, 46, I wasn't a Democrat that whole 4 years, but I criticized Biden about a handful of things. I didn't like them cozying up to corporate interests. I didn't like their handling of what was happening in Palestine. I mean, the stuff that I criticized Biden for, you guys probably liked him for. We're going to have political differences, so I'm going to find less fault for Democrats on a lot of stuff because I'm going to side with them more. But we didn't do this. But what's the equivalent to this? What's the equivalent to Biden taking people and throwing them in prison without any charges? None of this happened during the Biden administration.
Immigration overhaul. The administration considers anyone who crosses the border illegally to be a criminal. Illegal crossings are now at a historic low. But some immigration attorneys say the administration has used flawed criteria to justify deportations.
Yo tengo algunos tatuajes, ninguno hace referencia.
I have some tattoos. None of them have anything to do with any criminal group.
Me dijeron,
I explained to them, saying that I didn't belong to any gang, to which the agent responded, "But you are Venezuelan."
Pero si eres venezolano.
60 Minutes reviewed this document agents used to assess Venezuelans. A person with 8 points was designated as a Tren de Aragua gang member and deportable. Tattoos that immigration officers suspected of being gang-related earned 4 points. But criminology...
It's fucking crazy. There's no way that tattoos should be used in this way. Four of the 8 points they got were tattoos? Suspected tattoos? We know some of these. One of the guys that got deported, he had mom and dad written on his arms, I think. The MS-13. Remember when Trump posted that doctored photo that said MS-13 on Abrego Garcia's knuckles? That's half your conviction to be in a maximum security prison shouldn't come from tattoos. That's crazy.
Who study gangs say tattoos are not a reliable way to identify Venezuelan gang members because, unlike some Central American gangs such as MS-13, Tren de Aragua does not use tattoos to signal membership. Venezuela.
It wasn't an MS-13 concise. You just believe that. You just believe this administration when they tell you stuff.
National William Lozada Sanchez was also deported to CCOT. He told us the guards there also accuse Venezuelans with tattoos of being gang members.
Where are all the women? This is a men's only prison, so that could explain why there's no women here.
He detailed months of abuse and being forced into stress positions.
So you had to be on your knees for 24 hours?
Yes, because they put a guard there to watch us so that we wouldn't move.
And what would happen if you couldn't make it?
They'd take us to the island.
I wouldn't put a price on American lives. Gradual decay. But these people that we're interviewing here didn't take any American lives. I don't know how to explain this in a more simple way. You are xenophobic and you are bigots. And by every definition, you who are supporting this are bigots. There's no way around this. And I don't mean it in a way like to be just incendiary. You look at crimes committed by somebody who's, yes, I do know that, and I'm going to explain it. You look at crimes that are committed by somebody from Venezuela, and you say, we have to get rid of Venezuelans. You are taking the actions of one person or 2 people or 20 people, and you are applying those actions to everybody. That's textbook bigotry. No, you're not a bigot because you don't want to see women and children abused. You're a bigot. See, it's like if I said, I don't want to see people abused by Jeffrey Epstein, so we have to get rid of all people with the last name Epstein, or all businessmen, financiers from New York, or all white men that live in West Palm Beach. However you would want to categorize him. That's what I'm saying. Would I want to move to Venezuela? That's not the point. It's just not the point. It's that you guys take the actions of a few and you apply it to everybody. There's no definition by which you are not bigots. If you're saying we have to get rid of, look at everything this administration does. There was fraud in Minnesota, and there were Somalis involved in that fraud. Oh, we've got to get rid of all the Somalis, and Ilhan Omar also has to go. It's bigotry. Go after the people who commit the crimes, just like we do in America. We don't go, if you want to talk about protecting kids, I guess, what do we do? Just get rid of white Christian men? Is that what we do? Because that seems to be the biggest abuser of kids in this country, white Christian men. Oh, no, it's an attack on Christianity. You got J.D. Vance going, you can say that you're white in this country again. You guys all pretend that you're picked on. Just the mere fact that people bring up the fact that most of these crimes are committed by white Christian men, you guys take that as an attack on yourselves. What would happen if we just started locking all of us up? People that look like me and you, if we just locked us all, well, I guess I'm not Christian, so I can get away with it. You wouldn't apply those standards to you, but you'll apply it to other people. That's textbook bigotry.
What's the island?
The island is a little room where there's no light, no ventilation, nothing. It's a cell for punishment where you can't see your hand in front of your face. After they locked us in, they came to beat us every half hour.
No, 46, I was talking generally to white men. If you're not a white man, that doesn't apply to you. If you're not a white Christian man, then if we were locking up white Christian men, it wouldn't apply.
And they pounded on the door with their sticks to traumatize us while we were in there.
The torture was never ending. They would take you there and beat you for hours and leave you locked in there for days.
Some of the deportees described being sexually assaulted by the guards.
Nice.
They were hitting your private parts?
Sí.
With a baton?
No.
No, they tugged at them with their hands.
And they did that to multiple people?
A su mayoría.
To most of us.
The men say they grew weaker by the day. They claim the prison lights were left on 24 hours a day, making it difficult to sleep, and that food and medicine were often withheld.
Did you have access to clean water?
They never gave us access to clean water. The same water from our baths and toilets was the same water that we had to drink and survive on.
El momento en que nos llevaban con heridas de gravedad.
It's crazy. Oh, give me a break. You mean to tell me these so-called tough guys? Yeah, if you're shackled, it's pretty easy for somebody to sexually assault you. Every MAGA here, your defense is, come on, man. Give me a break. You hate America. It's getting a little pathetic to watch you folks in the chat, honestly. Not one of you has come up with anything sensible. Just, come on. You really believe this? Look at this guy. Look at him defending gang members. He hates America. We've done it. We've seen it every day. Get better. Can we please get some better opposition in here? Someone with courage and new insults.
If we had serious injuries, when the doctors examined us, they told us that drinking water would heal it.
So they're telling the injured prisoners to drink water, and the water's filthy.
Súper sucio.
Super filthy.
Mientras más mal nos veyeran,
the sicker and more injured we were, the better it was for them.
In late March, about 10 days after the first U.S. deportees arrived, Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem toured the prison.
Did they speak to anybody, any of the prisoners?
Homeland Security.
Can you imagine walking into this building and seeing these people shoved into cages? And then they trot them out, put them on the floor, like ass to face. I mean, like, yeah, this is what we wanted. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, there's no scenario where I would see people treated that way and think this is a good thing. But I'm just one of those human-loving atheists. I'm just one of those atheists with empathy. I'm not one of those strong Christians who follow Jesus by celebrating torture. I'm not one of those principled conservatives who wants to see anybody who I disagree with tortured and thrown in prison. I guess, my bad. Maybe I should become Christian so I can become more evil and vengeful. Maybe that's what I need. Maybe the 30 plus times I read through the Bible, I didn't learn enough that what Jesus was actually saying is that we should torture people. They crossed the invisible line. There's supposed to be borders between countries. Throw them in prison. Laugh at them as they're sexually assaulted. Ha ha, they deserve it, just like Jesus wanted.
Security Secretary Kristi Noem toured the prison.
Did they speak to anybody, any of the prisoners?
Nunca. Never. Not with any of the detainees. They never spoke to us. We only
at least 30 times, Fraga. I was a devout Christian. I was a missionary. I spent 2 years. I donated 2 years of my time, paid my own way for 2 years as a missionary. What'd you do for Jesus? Well, I voted for Donald Trump, and it's basically the same thing. How many of you Christians here in the chat dedicated 2 years of your life to go preach Jesus on your own dime? Any of you? How many of you woke up at 6 a.m. every day and then did an hour and a half of study and then went out and gave your time for Jesus? None of you? Oh, okay. Talk that shit.
All the cameras.
At some point, Secretary Noem went to another area of the prison to record this video.
First of all, I want to thank El Salvador and their president for their partnership.
What the fuck is this? Fucking photo op in front of a prison? In front of prisoners? Who the fuck is this for? People who just like torture porn? You think this is going to age well? You think this is going to look good? You think history is going to remember this well? History is going to go, who the fuck was this dumb lady? Why is she always in different costumes? You ever seen a picture of somebody standing in front of prisoners that aged well? I've never seen one. I didn't choose she chose homosexuality over Christ. I think it's possible Jesus was a gay guy. I don't know. I think it's possible. He ran around with just 12 dudes. Everybody hated him. The night before he died, they had this big dinner with just his buds. I don't know. No evidence that he had a girlfriend or anything, which makes me like him more. Honestly, I think that's a better story. This is sick though. Nobody. What kind of Christian looks at this and is like, yeah, this is what we want.
The United States of America to bring our terrorists here and to incarcerate them and have consequences.
There were men standing behind her, heavily tattooed. Who are those men? Do we know?
We know that those men in her video are not Venezuelans. They are Salvadorians, probably accused of being gang leaders, probably people who have been in jail for many, many years in El Salvador.
Human Rights Watch was able to confirm that with the help of this intrepid team of students at UC Berkeley's Human Rights Center.
Look, just knowing the genetics of Jesus, if he came back to this country and was wearing normal clothes, you would deport him and you would call him a radical Muslim. Just on appearance only, and just where Jesus was born. You would not let Jesus into this country. You guys are a long ways away from accepting Jesus. You are further away from the people who deny Jesus, like myself, the atheists. It's incredible with all of the beliefs that you have, your ability to justify cruelty. Did I ever work 12 hours a day risking your life in day and for people who you didn't know and even hated you? No, but we were talking about Christianity. So what the fuck does that have to do with Robert? Were you a cop? Yeah, show some proof, Robert. Show me some proof that any of these people are criminals.
All the visible men have either an MS on their chest or a 13 or an ES for El Salvador, and all those gangs are associated with El Salvador.
Not the Venezuelans.
Yeah.
To help verify the deportee stories for Human Rights Watch, the team of students combed through open source data for weeks. Students are trained in advanced techniques and follow strict international standards for obtaining digital evidence that can be used in courts. Analyzing satellite imagery, they mapped the prison and identified the building where the Venezuelan
all cats are beautiful. I agree with that.
Were held. And remember all those influencers who filmed inside CCOT? One toured an isolation cell.
These are the rooms of solitary confinement
that matched the description of the so-called island where the deportees described being tortured.
And they get absolutely nothing to use to sleep or to rest. Just pure concrete.
A show and tell of the armory confirmed CCOT had the weapons the Venezuelans say guards used on them.
I don't want to get on the Trump train because I think that the Trump train is going to be filled with Trump's pedophile friends.
What we did see in these videos was the use of the T-batons on prisoners. Additionally, we
can just brutalize people. We can just beat on people. The reason that they took these people to El Salvador is so that they could be cruel and beat on them.
Also saw the use of painful body positions.
They were showing that off in the videos.
And they do that. It's sort of a practice.
But it was this interview with the prison warden that proved to be most helpful.
The light system is 24 hours a day.
One of the questions.
Alexandria said the right has the same mentality of actual criminals. Yeah, no shit, because their leader is a criminal. They have become like just criminal apologists. The right is like, how many crimes have we covered now? Like, we've covered 3 stories. First, we have Trump handing out contracts to his donors and his donors hiding that, which is a crime. Then we talked about war crimes with Rahm Emanuel, which Trump is absolutely doing in Venezuela. Now here, more crimes. They love criminality. They have replaced America and the Constitution with criminality. They're very confused. They now think that breaking the law is American and that the Constitution is a problem that gets in their way.
That we had was, are the lights on 24/7? He said, yes, they are. So he's talking about how hot it can get in the prison. So there's this sort of pride around the poor conditions and around the suffering.
Using extreme temperatures or light to disorient inmates is also prohibited under UN standards.
I think one of the things that the work of this team has really shown is that a lot of these stories can be believed. And
Alexa Koenig is the director of Berkeley's Investigations Lab, which trains students to research war crimes and human rights violations.
And it's those little details that I think then...
Jim Jones, I got to tell you, bud, you are one of the most gross humans on this app. TDS is you. TDS is the reason that when you and I talk, you can't keep it together for 5 seconds. You and I have paneled together, Jim Jones, and you talked about my follower count about 50 fucking times. You are more obsessed with me than any person I've ever seen obsessed with Donald Trump. Like, it's bordering on stalkerish for you. If I pop into one of your lives, you shut down your whole live and start talking about me. You are one of the strangest people I've ever come across, and your obsession with me is weird. No, you don't live. No, I'm rent-free in your head, Jim. You hold lives about me when I'm not. You talk about me when I'm not around. I'm just a small-time content creator, and I can bring your life to a screeching halt by showing up in your live. And look at you now, Jim. Everybody, look at Jim in the TikTok chat right now. Watch Jim freak out right now. Now Jim's going to say that I can't debate, but do we see Jim up here debating me? Do we see Jim requesting to debate me? Do we see Jim anywhere? No, Jim's in his own lives talking about me. Jim comes up sometimes when there's a panel, and he jumps in to talk about my followers. What are you doing here, Jim? You don't have friends? Why are you thinking about me on Christmas Eve, Jim? What's going on with you?
If you can bring that together with the physical evidence, I think you have the strongest possible case for accountability, whether it's a court of public opinion or at some point in a court of law.
No, Jim's going to go hold a live right now and talk about this. Once he's done here, Jim is going to go hold a live or go on a panel, and he's going to talk about me. And he's going to talk about him being rent-free in my head. He's the most predictable stalker I've ever had. I've had a few stalkers in my day. Jim's the most predictable and the most horny, I think.
The Department of Homeland Security declined our request for an interview and referred all questions about CCOT to El Salvador. The government there did not respond to our request. In July, after 4 months, the 252 Venezuelan men were finally released from CCOT and sent back to Caracas in exchange for 10 Americans that had been imprisoned in Venezuela. The Trump administration has arranged more deals, some valued at millions of dollars, to offload U.S. deportees to other so-called third countries, nations to which they have no connection. Among them, war-torn South Sudan and Uganda, which have well-documented histories of torturing prisoners.
All right. So there's the story that, by the way, for everybody who sat and watched through that, Republicans, Barry Weiss killed that because your president didn't want people to see that. Yeah, exactly. They're selling them as slaves. There was this conversation about Donald Trump, that Donald Trump Literally, they're like, they say that he's literally Hitler. Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is pretty similar. The way that he attacks people based on their nationality or their ethnicity or their country of origin, that's pretty Hitler-esque. Throwing them in concentration camps. Remember when we called the alligator Alcatraz a concentration camp, and you're like, that's much better than the concentration camps. Well, what about Sikot? What about in the Sudan? Are those not concentration camps? Well, they committed a crime. Well, the people said that the folks in Germany committed a crime too. They ruled that where they immigrated from or their ethnicity was a crime, so they were criminals too, right? Of course, you can write any law you want. You can call anybody a criminal, and then you get to treat them however you want to treat them. Fine if you don't like illegal immigration. I don't particularly like it. I don't think that the response to illegal immigration should be cruelty. That's where we separate here. That's where myself, the godless atheist, and you, the Christian conservative, separate ourselves. You want the cruelty. You love the anger. You love the torture. And you just put that cross around your neck so that people think that you're decent. You're not decent. I think you're gross. And your president wants you to see that. I know, dumbest comparison ever. Yeah, that's a 1-to-1 comparison there. The only difference so far between Hitler and Trump is the end. We don't know how this ends yet, but it's important to remember that before the gas chambers, before the burning of bodies, was mass detention. And an all-out war on people who thought differently than them, and invading other countries. Before he lost the war, he was doing mass detention, concentration camps. He was going after a war on social issues and invading other countries. So, is it that different? So far, it's the same. And if it doesn't end the same way, that's fine. But there's still plenty of similarities. You're literally on the same doctrine. It's the same ideology. See, Hitler's ideology wasn't just consolidated in Germany. There were a bunch of famous Americans here who called themselves Nazis. The American Nazi Party. Their slogan was America First. There's a podcast called America First, isn't there? Who runs that podcast? Who runs the America First podcast in this country? Can't remember. Does anybody remember who that is? Oh, Nick Fuentes. I remember that. Oh, yeah, I remember. That guy is the guy that said Hitler was really cool. That guy? The guy that's taking over your party? You guys know the name Paul Ingracia? In your administration, says I have a little Nazi streak in me. Stephen Miller, who's consistently stolen speeches from Hitler and just marked him off as his own. Yeah. America First was the American Nazi Party, and it is today too. You're the reincarnation. I don't know why you guys are still denying it, to be honest. Why are you pretending that you're not? Because at some point, it's just going to, Trump or J.D. Vance, you're just like, yeah, that's who we are. And you're all going to be like, see, that's who we are. We saw this with Project 2025. You're all like, Project 2025 is made up. It's not real. And now you're like, yeah, it was real. It was real the whole time. It's exactly what we're doing. That was our plan the whole time. Nobody can trust you. And I think that most of you, honestly, were too fucking stupid or lazy to know. And then when Project 2025 was here, you just adopted it because you don't really actually think for yourselves. You're just angry dick riders. And the thing that seems to upset you the most is people pointing out facts about what this administration is doing. That seems to be what upsets you the most. If you think that I am the problem, if today you just watched the first, what are we, an hour and a half into the show? If you watched the hour and a half into the show where we saw that Department of Homeland Security was making all their buddies rich where we talked about illegal drone strikes that have led to even more terrorist activity, and then a 60 minutes video of an actual concentration camp. If you made it through the first hour and a half of that video and you think to yourself, the problem in America is people like this host, I think you might just be a Nazi, because everything we're talking about is like Nazism, and you don't seem to have a problem with that. But you do seem to have a problem with the people who are pointing that out. All right, let's talk about Epstein. Where's whatever moral decay guy? We're gonna do this. I'd like to point out that one of the people that has been the one of the most outward or out-facing defenders of both Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein has been Alan Dershowitz. He's all over the files. He's Trump's friend. He runs cover for Trump all the time. And he wrote this article in, I don't remember the date here, entitled, "Statutory Rape is an Outdated Concept." Although the most recent survey shows a slight decrease in teenage sex in the United States, it confirms the reality that the crime of statutory rape is rampant. According to the National Survey of Family Growth, nearly 1/4 of the women surveyed said they had schmecks before their 15th birthday. An additional 16.5% said they were between 15 and 16. Another 16.7% said they were between 16 and 17. Every state makes it a serious crime for anyone to have schmecks with another person below a given age. The age of consent varies from state to state. In some states, it's as high as 18, while in others, it's as low as 14. Some jurisdictions mitigate the crime if the perpetrator is close in age to the victim, while others do not. This is all theoretical, of course, since very few statutory rape charges actually are brought. The laws, however, remain on the books, poised to be used selectively in certain kinds of high visibility cases. Statutory rape apologist Alan Dershowitz, who just happened to be the attorney for Jeffrey Epstein, who just happens to have done a bunch of legal work and just happens to be the person who goes out there and runs cover for Donald Trump every time he's accused of this. And this part, it's used selectively in certain kinds of high visibility cases. I had a soccer teammate who went down for this. That wasn't very visible. I had a scout leader go down for this. Wasn't very visible. How come this guy, you guys put him on Fox News all the time? He was just cited. Donald Trump just praised him. Trump did that, I think it was like a Hanukkah luncheon, and he had on Miriam Adelson. And Miriam Adelson and Donald Trump on stage last week, maybe it was this week, praised Alan Dershowitz. We're not going to talk about that? Where's the thing? Where's the person talking about moral decay? Is this moral decay? Advocating that statutory rape's just an outdated concept? Is this the moral decay you wanted to talk about? Gradual decay. There we go. No. Gradual decay. Hey, mods on YouTube, you have every right to mute gradual decay at any time if he doesn't respond to what I say. You don't get to, Trump banned taxes on tips, overtime, welfare, and all people's money. Democrats voted against it. No, you don't get to run from this, you bitch. You've been bringing up the Epstein files all day. You said I wasn't going to talk about it all day. You've been bringing it up all day. You don't get to be a bitch now. Oh, you're getting muted. You have to respond to what I say, bud. This is the problem with all of you. Yes, I'm being a fascist, gradual decay. It should feel normal to you. The fact that I'm assuming that the more fascist I get, the more you're going to like me. Mods, you have carte blanche on gradual decay. Get your own. If you want to talk about that other shit, go start your own YouTube channel. You can go. But while you're here, you will respond when we show your president's friends, his pedophile friends. You will sit here, you will listen, you will take it, you'll respond to what we say, or you'll get the fuck out. I've got a daughter, we've all got kids, or we've been a kid, or there's kids in our life that we care about. We're gonna talk about this administration's cover-up of P3DOs. I keep forgetting we're on TikTok. We're gonna talk about it. And if you want to change the subject, you can fucking leave. You don't get to stay here if you try and change the subject while we're talking about this. For the record, we were warned about this. Elon even told us, mark this post for the future. The truth will come out, he told us in September. And what's the truth? Time to drop the really big bomb. Trump is in the Epstein files. That's the real reason they have not been made public. He said, save it. We saved it. You know what he had access to? Probably the files. Because remember that Doge thing he did? Remember how he went and did Doge, and now we have the record on Doge, and they basically cut nothing? But he got access to all the files. He got access to the IRS. He got access to all his competitors' bids. He told us. He said, save it. I'm going to be, well, here we are. You're vindicated, Elon. Show the proof that Trump's in the Epstein. Okay, go watch my show yesterday, but we'll show you more today. How about this one? Trigger warning. This is a message to the police officers from a victim. I'm just wanting to reconnect with the original detective that called me, and I offered information about this. How is the contact known? He was orchestrating a deal along with my uncle where different men and a few women and girls would come to a variety of boats and yachts and pay money to force me to do blank with them when I was 13 and pregnant. Witness information. First name Donald, last name Trump, age 70. Additional info. Again, just trying to find out the NYPD detective on the FBI sex trafficking task force that called me a couple of weeks ago and spoke to me about some of these issues. He participated regularly in paying money to force me to blank with him, and he was present when my uncle murdered my newborn child and disposed of the body in Lake Michigan. Should we investigate, or should you guys just say no? Because let's be honest about what's in the Epstein files. This is a lot of allegations. Did the FBI investigate this? Doesn't look like it. Should we investigate it? I think we should. Does MAGA? No. No. This was dated August 3rd, 2020. Now, I want to talk about another thing, too, because this is not silly, it's sick, and it happens every time. Anytime somebody who is famous gets accused of something, generally speaking, a bunch more people come forward after the first accusation becomes public. What we know about most of these accusations is that we never heard about them. So we knew about stuff in 96. We knew stuff in 97, 98, 99, 2000. We didn't know, but there were stories. There were people that reported this abuse for decades. But it never made it into the news, and the FBI clearly covered it up. At least since 1996, we know for certain that the FBI was covering this up. So when people say because Trump was running for president, this came out and therefore it's a lie, that's always how this happens. Think of the trial we just had with Diddy. Go watch that documentary about Diddy, and you can see there were all these things that all of us missed. All these allegations about Diddy that none of us knew about or we missed. But then as soon as like one of those allegations becomes public and a news organization, a national news organization covers it, all the other allegations surface. That's how this works. I don't think you could show me anybody who has multiple allegations against them that it's been public, that the first allegation and a public spotlight didn't bring more allegations. So the fact that, again, that doesn't prove that this is true, but this is in line with like how people who are abused come forward. What MAGA, what you're up against right now is the testimony of hundreds of women. You're up against that. And what you seem to be willing to do is accept their testimony when it doesn't affect your politics. You accept their testimony when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein. You all did. None of you said that Jeffrey Epstein didn't do these things. In fact, Jeffrey Epstein, in his first trial, he was convicted, I believe, of like, I I think it was like solicitation of a minor. But we know, and you all agree, that he abused hundreds of girls. But he only went down for solicitation of a minor. So we were all willing to accept that, even though he was only accused of those things. And we were all willing to believe that because of, like, one, they seemed to match, like the accusations seemed to match the pattern of how he procured people and what he did to them and how he conditioned them. Those stories all seemed to match. But when it came to Trump's abuse of women and their stories matching of the way that he would corner them, separate them from a group, push them up against a wall, start kissing them, and then you have him on the Access Hollywood tape saying, I can't control myself. I see a beautiful woman and I just start kissing them, and they let you do anything. So you have all these women with stories long before that Access Hollywood tape came out saying, he cornered me, he pushed me up against the wall, he started kissing me, or I was on an airplane and he started feeling me up. He never felt like he got in any trouble. So when he was saying that on Access Hollywood, that they let you do it, he was telling you the truth. I get away with this. I see a beautiful woman, I start kissing them, they let me do whatever they want. He's in a deposition when he's read back that quote, and he said, historically, that's true. When you're a star, you get away with this, and I'm a star. See, if any of this evidence were held against Epstein, for fuck's sakes, there is a diary entry about Joe Biden from his daughter. His daughter claims that the way that that's been interpreted wasn't true, and she has publicly said, my dad did not abuse me. However, that, along with a couple pictures of Joe Biden appearing to sniff somebody's hair, was enough for most of you on MAGA to conclude that Joe Biden was a danger to children. It did not stop you from going out there and making accusations day after day after day. But there is significantly more evidence that Donald Trump is abusing people, and you won't believe it. Significantly more. You are all willing to accept that Bill Clinton is a creep. And yet, what do we have from Bill Clinton? We have accusations from Arkansas, which, by the way, when did those accusations about Bill Clinton become nationally known? It happened when the Republicans investigated him over a land deal. And during the process of investigating him over a dirty land deal, they found out that he was having an extramarital affair with, what was her name? Monica Lewinsky. And once those claims came out and it was public, all of the people that Bill Clinton had sexually assaulted came forward. In fact, Donald Trump brought some of those women to a debate with Hillary Clinton, and all of you believed it. And Donald Trump said, these accusations alone are enough to tell you that Bill Clinton is an abuser and that his wife covered for him. And you all said, yup, that's right. Look at these accusers. There's nearly 4 of them. He must be a bad guy, and his wife must be covering for him because there's nearly 4 of them. There's 30 plus women who have accused Trump of much worse. And at least 1 underage person, 2 actually, at least 2 underage people have accused Trump, and you don't want to believe that. You do not hold the standard of evidence across the board. I know you guys. I know some of you, especially if you're on TikTok, those of you who've been here for a while. I know who you are, you know who you are, and you know goddamn well that you have said this about Joe Biden. And you're sitting here now saying lies. Read the fucking files. You want me to show you? All right, we'll pull this up. Do you know about this case? I think this is it. Jane Doe versus, no, that's the wrong one. The Epstein one. Jane Doe v. Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. Do you know about this case? Go read it. Go read these documents and see what Donald Trump was accused of doing with Jeffrey Epstein. Now, again, You can say that he wasn't convicted of that, but you didn't hold that standard for Joe Biden. You didn't hold that standard for Bill Clinton. You don't hold that standard for Hillary Clinton. You were willing to consistently repeat lies about Kamala Harris. No problem. You should move on. I think you should move on to the next podcast. If this is upsetting to you, it's because you're in a fucking cult. Hold the same fucking standards, please. Or else don't get upset when people say that you're in a cult. This is in the Epstein files, Donald Trump being present while somebody's baby was unalived and disposed of in Lake Michigan. Where are those arguments? I just gave you Donald Trump's arguments. I just told you. Why did you guys accept it when Donald Trump said these women here at the debate were abused by Donald Trump and his wife covered it up? Did you get upset at Trump about that? I doubt it. All right. Trump in 2019 was asked about Epstein. Said, I wasn't a fan. I knew him like everybody else in Palm Beach knew him. Here's a quip now from New York Times, which I think is maybe in the files. I'm not sure if they included this in the files or not. They went around and they talked to people who were around Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein in the 80s and 90s. And they said, what was it like being around Epstein and Trump? So the two men's relationship was both far closer and far more complex than the president now admits. Beginning in the late 80s, the two men forged a bond intense enough to leave others who knew them with the impression that they were each other's closest friends. Remember, he wrote a letter, put it like close enough that Ghislaine said, can you write a letter for Jeffrey in his birthday book? And he did. And it was a really weird fucking letter. Mr. Epstein was then a little-known financier who cultivated mystery around the scope and source of his self-made wealth. Mr. Trump, 6 years older, was a real estate scion who relished publicity and exaggerated his successes. Neither man drank or did drugs. They pursued women in a game of ego and dominance. Female bodies were currency. Over nearly 2 decades, as Mr. Trump cut a swath through the party circuits of New York and Florida, Mr. Epstein was perhaps his most reliable wingman. During the 90s and early 2000s, when they prowled Mr. Epstein's Manhattan mansion and Mr. Trump's Plaza Hotel, at least one of Mr. Trump's Atlantic City casinos, and both their Palm Beach homes. They visited each other's offices and spoke often by phone, according to other former Epstein employees and women who spent time in his homes. Also according to call logs. We know Trump and Epstein were regularly calling each other. We have the call logs and then the notes from the secretaries. With other men, Mr. Epstein might discuss tax shelters, international affairs, or neuroscience. With Mr. Trump, he talked about sex. Remember, Trump said about Jeffrey Epstein, great guy. He likes beautiful women almost as much as I do. He is a little more on the younger side. Remember that? I am FCRD said, hey, RTP, happy holidays to you and yours. Thanks for the stream. Appreciate it. This guy Fox said, happy Sol Invictus. Thank you. Lee said, happy holidays. Soli, thank you very much. Said, Merry Christmas. Love you all. Asta Sophia said, Merry Christmas from Iceland. Electric Dad said, in case you didn't know, Jesus was born in an Alabama manger to parents named John and Martha Kent. I didn't know that. Alexandria said, the right has the same mentality of actual criminals. I think I got that one. That's because they are. Shannon, thank you very much. That was super generous. Said, thank you both for everything that you do. I got Becky's there. I think we're good there. All right. Moving on. My voice is not going to make it much longer. What time? 11:18. All right. This was from September 19th. I want to remind you that since July, Republicans have been trying to force us not to get these files. And that's another important thing to remind the Republicans in the chat here is I know this is tough for you. But your party tried to cover this up since July. They literally went on vacation. The House went on vacation so that they couldn't bring the discharge petition. They refused to seat Representative Grijalva from my state. They tried to hide this from you. And only when there was enough public pressure to release them did Republicans finally cave. Trump spent the most of June, July, August, September, October, November threatening Republicans. He said just this week, he said the reason these came out is because of a bunch of evil Democrats and a few bad Republicans to a law that he signed. He signed this into law, and Republicans almost unanimously voted for it. And now he's backtracking, saying, "Oh, it was just the Democrats' fault." And you won't even think about that, will you? You won't even think about the fact that you guys tried to hide all this, and then you claimed that you weren't hiding it, and that's why it should be released. And you all came on this stream and celebrated. See, they're not hiding anything, and now they're back to hiding things. They didn't release it in time. They have been releasing things slowly, which is against the law. They are redacting things they're not allowed to redact, which is against the law. But what the fuck are we going to do about it? Because Pam Bondi and Kash Patel would be the ones that would go after them, and they're not going to go after them because they're in Trump's pocket. And the people in Congress are a bunch of fucking pussies. Every Republican in Congress lives in Trump's asshole, and they're pussies, except for Thomas Massie. So they're not going to do anything about it because they've decided that they're handing off all their power to Donald Trump. And you guys you sit around all day, and you are defending pedophiles. Every single day. Not welcome to politics, James. This has never happened before. Not welcome to politics. Never in the history of our country has this ever happened. Never. You are the party of pedophiles. Crashing. Look at this guy up here. He's upset that the administration and the government is covering for pedophiles. What a dipshit. Yeah, it pisses me off when we cover up a massive pedophile ring. I'm sorry, that makes me upset. It doesn't make you upset, Ruby? You're not upset about them covering for pedophiles? This guy, he's unbelievable. Why does he care about that? Who cares about these kids? Yeah, sorry. Sorry, I'm upset about it. Prove that they're covering it up? They've been covering it up since July. What are you talking about? I can prove that they're covering this up. They didn't release it. That's all the proof you need. There's no proof that's enough for you, by the way. There could be a video of Trump abusing a child, and you wouldn't believe it. If you don't know that the Trump administration actively covered this up, if you can't admit that to yourself, there's not a whole lot we can do for you. The Thomas Massie and 100% of the Democrats brought a discharge petition to Congress. And the Republicans didn't sign it. And Trump publicly threatened anybody who signed it. Marjorie Taylor Greene signed it, and Trump said, "Now I'm going to primary you." And he started calling her a traitor for signing on to the discharge petition. If that's not enough for you to recognize that they were actively trying to hide it, then you're too fucking stupid to have this conversation with. And perhaps we need to deport you. There's no what argument could you possibly have against that? They're not all released, actually, Ruby. But look, you've got to respond to this, Ruby, or I have to block you. Do you acknowledge, Ruby, that Donald Trump threatened Republicans to not sign the discharge petition? This is your only chance. We have to get rid of you if you can't acknowledge this. Do you acknowledge the truth that you can check yourself that Donald Trump threatened Republicans who signed the discharge petition? I'm going to need an answer to that, Ruby, and we're going to pause the live for a second. Prove it. Mods, enjoy blocking Ruby. Later, Ruby. Your history will remember you as a pedophile enabler. That's what you will be remembered as. Thanks. Go look it up yourself. You can DM me if you'd like on my backup account once you've researched it, and you can tell me, yes, they covered it up, and then you'll be welcome to come back into our stream. But for now, we don't allow pedophile enablers here. See, even Larry said it. Thank you, Larry. I appreciate that. Ruby, your other friends here can admit it. Larry doesn't care because Larry doesn't really care if kids get abused. Larry doesn't care if this gets covered up because Larry's all in this for the cruelty of the deportations. But at least Larry can admit that. He's like slightly better than you. He's like a honest pedophile enabler.
So I was really getting at him, and he said, well, 2006 was a different time. You know, it was a lot different as it relates to the movement.
Oh,
and
sorry, I didn't set this up very well. Let me go back to this. This is Alex Acosta, who's the attorney who gave the sweetheart deal to Jeffrey Epstein in Florida, was brought before Congress to testify in a closed-door meeting. Alex Acosta deserves a lot of criticism. He was run out of the first Trump administration when they found out that he did this sweetheart deal. And the other person who protected Jeffrey Epstein, it was Pam Bondi, who was the AG of Florida, who refused to go after Jeffrey Epstein, who is now also covering for Jeffrey Epstein now. So I don't know what you guys do with this information, but the person who covered up and ran cover for Jeffrey Epstein in Florida, Donald Trump brought into his administration to do the same thing here. Donald Trump hired the two people responsible for Jeffrey Epstein being allowed to sit in a county jail instead of prison and go home every day to work, where he abused more children while he worked. And the two people responsible for that, Pam Bondi and Alex Acosta, both got hired by the Trump administration after we knew that. Not before, after we knew that. Trump hired both of them. And Pam Bondi was the second choice. And the first choice of Donald Trump for Attorney General was a guy who sexually abused a 17-year-old. Did I just get banned from TikTok? Yeah, I just got banned from TikTok. Knew that was coming. The other guy sexually assaulted a 17-year-old, drugged and sexually assaulted a 17-year-old. And Trump tried to make that guy Attorney General. Trump wants people around him who will cover for him, who are also involved in the crimes. Because they don't want to admit it, so they'll do anything for him. All right, yeah, I'm in trouble for TikTok for a while. You don't want to, if you tell the truth about Donald Trump, you're cooked on TikTok. That's what happens when Trump's friend buys TikTok. But anyways, here's Jasmine Crockett talking about the closed door meeting with Alex Acosta.
So I was really getting at him, and he said, well, 2006 was a different time. You know, it was a lot different as it relates to the movement and what was going on. I said, let me tell you something. I've been practicing law since 2006, so I know what was happening in 2006. Right. So I was really ready to tear in and really get down to some other things because I've dealt with child sex cases. And based on the little information that I know about what he had back then, in my opinion, he had more than enough evidence, but he was arguing that he didn't. And I said, well, let me ask you this. Towards the end of the time that I was going to be there, I asked him, I said, normally prosecutors consult with the victims. And there are some cases that I've had to go to trial on, not because the prosecutor necessarily wanted to, but after they consulted with the victims were saying, no, I want my day in court and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen. And that's why you had a problem. And so he gave all these excuses about.
And also they didn't.
His excuse was, it was a different time back then. It was a different time. Did you consult with the victims? No, we just gave him a sweetheart deal. Alex, and then Pam Bondi could have done something about it. Pam Bondi didn't meet with the victims. Why did these two people that worked in the Trump administration refuse to meet with the victims? Why did they run a prosecution and give a sweetheart deal without talking to the victims? And knowing that they did that, why did Donald Trump hire them? And why are you supporting this administration? I just don't have the courage to admit that we were duped. It's so fucking obvious at this point. It's so fucking obvious that it's painful. It's honestly painful to argue with you guys. How in the world are you still defending this? Larry, where are you at? Is Drew here? Do we have any sensible Republican here? Is there anybody here that voted for Trump that is upset about this? Can I just look in the chat? I just want to know, if you voted for Trump and you're upset about this, can I just get a thumbs up in the chat to restore like a tiny bit of hope in humanity? Just a little. Fred Garvin, thank you. A little bit, thank you. Diane Carney, thank you. God, fuck, you guys make me happy. Thank you. 2. Oh, I like you guys. We can be friends. Thank you for saying that. Oh, there's some more. Omar there. Stu, thank you. Luis, hey, Luis, good to see you. I didn't know you were a Trump voter before. Michael, thank you. Thor, thanks. This is actually good. I'm glad I did this. Therese Keller, thank you. Drew's sensible for MAGA. You have to. It's on. It's a slide. It's a graded on a curve. Somebody just says we love Trump. You're upset about how the files are being released. That's about it. Are you upset about Liquor Store Dinosaur? You're not upset that Trump hired Pam Bondi, who covered this up, and hired Alex Acosta? What do you think about Trump's judgment of hiring those people? I appreciate that, Fred Garvin. Some of your friends, some of these people are a little dumb, but I appreciate that. About a Trumpy bear. How about Trump is the best president ever? Yeah, how about that? If you are somebody who abuses children, Trump or like loves being cruel to immigrants, or if you're a crypto scammer, Trump probably is your favorite president of all time. I also want to remind you of this video that we showed once before.
We recreated
Epstein's. It's important to go back-to-back days of CoffeeZilla. It's also important to remember that when they released the Epstein footage initially, when that was I think in the summer sometime, they lied about that too. So Trump, every time they release something, they lie. Remember the first Epstein files that they rolled out? Here's the Epstein files. And they released something that had already been released. And they tried to trick all their own content creators and say, this is new. And when their own content creators went through it, they're like, actually, none of this is new, and it's mostly redacted. They faked the Epstein files release once. Then you have the video. And they lied about what was in the video. Both Dan Bongino and Kash Patel said they had seen the video and that there were multiple angles and that the angles would show everything but like what was inside the cell. And then when they released it, they're like, "Oh no, we don't have the stairs leading up to his cell. We don't have any of this stuff." So they got caught lying too. No big deal for MAGA. But I just want to go back in history to remind you about when they released the footage and CoffeeZilla digitally recreated what they did. And this is the top 5 lies that came out from the release of the Epstein footage. Also remember, 2 minutes were missing. They told us initially that all this footage was deleted, that it wasn't available. Then, due to FOIA requests and members of Congress pushing on this, they had to admit, actually, there is footage. And then they released the footage, and there's, I think, 3 minutes missing. They're, oh, this just happens. And then we found that footage, too. They have lied every step of the way. Everything they have claimed has turned out to not be true. And somehow, the MAGA loyalists, like, every lie makes them more and more sure that they're not lying. But here's the CoffeeZilla video.
Prison in 3D to show you the top 5 lies hidden in the government's footage. And you can get the raw file on Patreon to explore it yourself, and let's jump into it. Lie number 5, you're gonna get a video of the cell.
And you're gonna get the video of the cell. And you're gonna see for yourself.
Kash Patel, the FBI director, told us that this footage was of Jeffrey Epstein's cell, but it's not. Let's fly over to where Epstein's cell.
Thank you so much, Heather. That was really, really generous. Appreciate that.
Actually is. I've marked it with a green door. Down the hall, we actually see
Thanks, Joel,
a camera marked in red that wasn't recording the night of Epstein's death, which brings us to our next lie. There was only one camera.
There's a video of him.
No, not the actual act, but the entire MCC Bay, it was only one camera.
Deputy Director Dan Bongino of the FBI told us there was only one camera in the special housing unit, but that's not true. There were at least 2 cameras recording and 9 other cameras that were working, but not recording due to a malfunction only days earlier. Now, the official report says that recordings should have been made for about half of the cameras, but in Epstein's block, only 2 out of 11 cameras were recording. Really bad luck.
Yeah, it just happened. No other day. Every other day, 11 cameras recording. This time, there was only 2.
I guess. Now, I should say all the cameras were working before that, at a time when Epstein accused his cellmate of trying to kill him, and this was contradicted by his cellmate who said Epstein tried to commit. Epstein later got put on watch for this event, and we should have been able to get that footage except the prison failed to save the correct file. Prosecutors claimed the footage contained on the preserved video was for the correct date and time, but captured a different tier than the one where Jeffrey Epstein was located.
It was only one camera.
So our deputy director lied when he said there was only one camera. There were actually 11. At least 2 were recording. Only 1 got released. And according to our own government's report, 5 or 6 should have been recording, but weren't. When the cameras were working properly, they didn't save the right file.
Just a reminder, when this happened, Donald Trump was president. Let's remember that. Donald Trump was in charge of the FBI. Donald Trump was over the Bureau of Prisons. It was Bill Barr who was going in there cleaning up the mess. All of this happened under Donald Trump's watch. So how many lies so far here? We're only on lie 2, and with each of those major lies, we've uncovered 3 or 4 other lies. Why do they lie to you so much, MAGA? And why do you just shrug it off?
Files. Incredibly unlucky. But lie number 3, there's nothing unlucky about it because we were told directly that the footage we were going to get showed there was no one there but Epstein.
You're going to see there's no one there but him. Right. There's just nobody there. So I say to people all the time,
Thanks,
if
Rich.
you have
Merry
a
Christmas
tip,
to you
let
too.
us know. But there's no DNA, there's no audio, there's no fingerprints, there's no suspects, there's no accomplices, there's no tips, there is nothing.
The footage just directly debunks.
He was in charge of the FBI, but they didn't listen. So he just stayed silent about it. Trump told him to do the right thing and they didn't, so then he just stayed silent about it. Yeah, sure.
There are several people who appear in the footage the FBI released, and actually one even appears after lockdown walking up.
Gradual decay. Somebody mute gradual decay for 5 minutes again. Good try, bud. You got to stay on topic. Gradual decay, another 5-minute mute. When you immigrate to this country here, you must assimilate. You must follow the rules. You are an illegal immigrant. You are now being deported back. Get to the back of the line and come the right way next time. Got to stay on topic. Somebody get gradual decay, another 5-minute mute. Thanks.
The government's report at first called this.
And somebody mute JDam too for spamming this guy's the new Rosie O'Donnell. Your joke didn't land the first time. Nobody laughed at it. It's not going to land this time. It doesn't even make sense. You get 2-minute mute. You got to be funnier. I'm going to go full fascist the rest of the live.
Laundry, but independent experts agreed, according to one analysis by CBS.
At 10:38 p.m., the report says someone, probably Noel, carries a bundle of bedding or clothing up the stairs. It's a rare instance the video does catch movement on the stairs, but barely. Let's see that zoomed in and in slow motion again. Several of the video forensic experts we spoke with were skeptical about the report's conclusion and thought that the video could be showing an inmate walking up the stairs. Authorities say this was the last time anyone approached his cell block until his body was discovered the next morning. Again, while the video does not contradict that, experts who viewed the video say the limited field of view makes it impossible to definitively conclude that no one used those stairs in that time period.
Yeah, we don't know who that is. The government's not clear. And there are also several people who are housed in the same cell block as Jeffrey Epstein, which, as we've shown, isn't visible to the camera footage we were given. So that raises questions, and so do the 2 prison guards who were on staff that night and had a view of Epstein's cell. Both were charged with falsifying records on the night Epstein died, specifically with them lying about completing mandatory.
All right, so then they lied. One said they fell asleep. How many more lies? Fred, by the way, don't go after Fred, guys. I understand what Fred's saying. Fred, if there are people who are begging for my attention and trying to get me to debate, and they won't come up here and debate, and they insist on not talking about the topic, I mute those people. Like I said before, you're actually allowed to say anything you want to me. Just stay on topic. There are people, I think it's important information. I have ADHD. It's my own thing. I try and read the chat, and I try and engage the chat. So if there are people in here who are just trying to derail the conversation for my own sanity and because I have ADHD, I just have to remove them. And a funny way to do it is to talk about in the way of deportations that they are in favor of. So I understand what you're saying, Fred, but like that's who I'm getting rid of. You're welcome to stay. Our mods are not mute crazy. If there's people that are begging for attention and trying to troll, I tell them they can come up here and speak to me, or they can stay on topic. And if they don't do that, they get deported. So I appreciate you being here, Fred. And guys, be nice to Fred.
Rounds to check on Jeffrey Epstein the night of his death, despite a posted warning that read mandatory rounds must be conducted every 30 minutes on Epstein as per God. but they did not do that. Instead,
must
they
not have been
appeared to
Christian.
fall asleep, according to the OIG report, and occasionally browse the internet, where one guard, quote, read a news article about Jeffrey Epstein. So
Next
it's
gen, you can
just
send
a
me a
total
link.
lie to say there was no one there but Epstein and no possible suspects. You have several inmates shown on the camera the night of his death. You have one walking up the stairs after lockdown, and you also have guards that just falsified records. But this all brings us to lie number 2, the second biggest Pinocchio, and that's where they told us we're gonna get the raw footage so we know there aren't shenanigans.
We are working on cleaning it up to make sure you have an enhanced, and we're going to give the original so you don't think there were any shenanigans.
So yeah, I don't think I need to explain why this is one of the most brazen lies. We were told we'd be given a modified and the original footage. Instead, what we got are 2 modified videos because both were edited in Premiere Pro. Now, it isn't clear exactly what was edited, but expert forensic analysts who spoke to Wired said the footage wouldn't stand up in court, had 1 minute, no wait, actually 3 minutes missing, and now there are reports that the DOJ has the full footage, but just hasn't released it.
And a government source is alleged to CBS News the FBI and other agencies are in possession of the full, unedited footage.
And that brings...
Why do you guys think Dan Bongino quit? Honestly. Dan Bongino went to Washington, and one of his main focuses was to get the Epstein files released. And before they released, he announced, I'm quitting. Why do you think he did that?
Brings us to the final point, the final biggest lie of all, and that's a direct quote from the DOJ memo about what the footage even shows. And it says this, quote, anyone entering or attempting to enter the tier where Epstein's cell was located from the shoe common area would have been captured by this footage. The government's entire case is built on this lie, and that's why it's the biggest, because their whole case for saying no one could have reached him.
Thanks, Frankie. Merry Christmas.
Is the idea that this one camera angle shows everything. But let's put Maxwell in our 3D twin and have him walk up the stairs. First, we'll put him on the left side of the staircase, and as you can see, you can barely make him out. However, if we put him on the right side of the staircase, you'll find that you can't see him at all. He's invisible from our view. So there's just obviously a blind spot here, which, by the way, the government already knew because they already admitted in a previous Epstein report, saying that this camera angle specifically was a, quote, partial view of the L-tier stairway. So it's not a full view, you can't see everything, and as you can see in this excellent CBS investigation, you could actually access this stairway and Epstein's cell from a doorway invisible to the camera.
But with the primary entrance here, the pathway from the...
I hear what you're saying, like, maybe he did. I could still buy the idea that he offed himself. The question is what's being covered up here? Like, why are they covering, like, why did they not release this footage? Do we have, we'll open it up, but to our MAGA friends in the chat, when we're watching this, why was the footage edited? Why are they not showing us the full footage? Why do you have the FBI director and the assistant director both saying that we would get footage that they had seen that we never saw? Why didn't we get what they promised? That's all I want to know. Some of you are like so close. Like some of you are saying like this is like 30 years of government cover up. This is more than just the current Republican administration. I agree. And I think that because, frankly, to give them some credit, because of podcasts like Dan Bongino's and because of people who have been podcasting about the Epstein files for 12 years, while most of us didn't, that's why this is out. I don't think I get any credit for this being out. I don't think I was any sort of catalyst for putting pressure on the government to do this. I think there are much better journalists who covered this in depth and put pressure on people to put it out. And that's why it's so confusing to me, because the one thing that the right should be celebrating right now is that this was kind of your baby. This was your thing. You guys you did really push this. This was this kind of like the real kickstart happened during QAnon, and then during the first lead up to the first Trump administration, and then throughout the entire Biden presidency, it was nonstop talking about the Epstein files. What's hard, I think, for me to grasp is that you all pushed for this, and you should be taking your flowers right now. I know it's not just Republicans, but like collectively, if you're going to say like who was putting the most pressure in the media, it was Republicans. Republicans were doing more of the pressure than Democrats. That's just true. And you should be taking your flowers for that. And you should be saying, like, see, we're not all just crazy. Like, you thought it was a conspiracy theory, but here we are. And look, now the government's covering it up in real time. And I don't think any of you would hold this position if this was Joe Biden doing the exact same thing. And I don't think our side would be doing this. I don't think that the left would be covering for Joe Biden in the way that you guys are covering for Donald Trump. And that's where, like, the frustration comes in. Because we need everybody to apply this pressure. We will not get the full story until the support for Donald Trump collapses. And you can support his policies, you can support his agenda, but you covering for him right now and covering for this administration right now is you just saying, I'm putting my politics before evidence. I'm putting my politics before protecting victims. I'm putting my politics before uncovering a 30, 40-year cover-up for Jeffrey Epstein. That's like all the conspiracy theories that you want. If you're somebody who thinks that the CIA does covert acts and lies to us and lies to our government officials and that we don't have proper oversight over there, I agree. I think we all agree with that. The CIA goes out of bounds all the time. The FBI out of bounds all the time. This is an opportunity for a reset. This is an opportunity for once. I honestly thought, like, when this came out, this might be one of those times we could unify around one thing, and that is we've got to have more transparency in our government. This is so blatantly obvious that they are covering this up and have been covering up. They've been caught since the beginning of this year. And so I just thought this would be one of those things we could agree on, and for some reason, some of MAGA doesn't want to acknowledge this. And I don't know why. I don't know why you think that supporting Donald Trump's more important than this, but it sucks. It's sad. It's kind of devastating. It makes me think less of us as a country, as a population. And a lot of us are just like, can we ever really fix this? If we can't come together on this, like, I don't know what we possibly could agree on. This is one of the most obvious dumb cover-ups I've ever seen. It's a cover-up like by a pretty incompetent administration. You got a podcaster leading the FBI, a lobbyist running the as attorney general. They're really incompetent, and their mistakes are leading us to see beyond the cover-up that's been going on for 40 years. Weirdly enough, like Donald Trump assigning loyalists to these positions has given us a better glimpse. Like, it's ironically given us more transparency. But now that we have the transparency and we see them actively covering up, now's the time to take action. And it seems like a lot of people's pride is just in the way. You don't want to admit that you got duped by this guy.
Entrance to the stairs is completely out of view of the camera.
Yeah, that's right. You could access Epstein's cell. Our replication of the prison shows the same conclusion. If we have Maxwell walking from the shoe entrance to Epstein's cell, we can't see him
Adam,
from this camera angle.
Adam, you can see the super chats that are up here. They come up. One by one, you can see who's paying me to talk about Orange Man Bad. People that are in this audience are who are paying me. You can watch it in real time.
Even though if we make the walls transparent, obviously we can see him, but in the raw footage, we'd have no way of knowing if somebody walked this direction. This painstaking recreation of the special housing unit can put to bed the top 5 lies from our government about Jeffrey Epstein. 1, we didn't get a video of Jeffrey Epstein's cell. We got a camera, they can't see it. 2, there wasn't just one camera, there were 11. 3, the footage shows way more than just Epstein. 4, we didn't get raw footage, we got modified footage. And lastly, there are blind spots on this camera. I mean, it's just perfectly clear, and the government has previously admitted it. This, of course, doesn't mean, I have to say, that Epstein definitively himself, but the government is only adding fuel to the fire when they put out statements that are directly contradicted by their own video. The best you can say is this is either extreme levels of negligence or deliberate incompetence to cover things up. The most honest thing you can say at this point is
Airstyle, this was from earlier this year.
That we don't have definitive evidence for the night Epstein died, one way or the other, that has been released. The evidence we do have has been modified, does not say what they say it says, and all of this makes it impossible to know.
Good point, Amadou. I am political. I am biased. I don't like Trump. I recognize that my bias at times has probably led me to a more emotional conclusion that needs to happen. I've had to walk some stuff back. CoffeeZilla has never been involved in any of this stuff. He has been somebody who's been for 10 years now uncovering scammers. And he's responsible for a lot of people being put in jail for stealing. And he is in this not as a political, like, again, you said it right. Like, how many times has he mentioned Trump? Not once. Not once has he mentioned Trump. This is just good evidence. No, Fredger, I'm not ex-Jehovah's Witness. I'm ex-Mormon, but my name is Jay. And my friends in college used to call me Jehovah. And then I needed like a, what is that? That's the Cash App name or whatever. So I just thought it was clever.
100% what has happened. That is not a conspiracy. That's what the government's own evidence actually shows. Now, as I said, we'll make the 3D version of Epstein's housing unit available on Patreon. It's a Blender file along with a detailed look of how he created it. I should say the government's not exactly forthcoming about the exact specs of their prison, so we had to use some approximations using the photos provided and taking measurements where we could. But as I said, our conclusions match up.
I don't think so. I don't think there was no like self-unaliving letter that I know of. I mean, who knows? But I don't think there was. I've never heard of one.
With the governments from years ago. So I think we're on safe ground there. That's basically it. Thanks for watching.
Self. You want me to? I've seen the whole file.
Yeah. So they lied. It has been nothing but lies about the Epstein files from the second this administration took office. And I just want America to just get to a place where we can acknowledge like obvious lies. I'll skip that. Let's jump into the report from today. So this is Bank of America Securities economist Adita. I don't know how to say this. This is Bhave. Bhave. I think it's Bhave maybe. We got an announcement today of 4.7, I think it was 4.7, right? 4.3% GDP growth. Couple things to know. Number one, this is an incomplete number. It's always an incomplete number when we announce GDP because this is done by surveys, and then surveys come in later, so we expect a correction. I'm not saying there will be a correction one way or another, but this is actually more incomplete than normal. Because of the government shutdown. So because of the government shutdown, we basically have a month's worth of surveys that weren't gone through. So we have a preliminary number. It could go up. It could go down. It's 4.3 GDP. Projection, I think, was like 3.5. Maybe it was 3.3. So it came in above projections. But just this is how GDP works. That's why there's always a correction. There's never been a time when we announced GDP when it wasn't corrected later. It either is corrected up or it's corrected down. I'm not making a claim one way or the other. In fact, I think that this GDP number is probably based on the data that I've seen and based on like trajectory. I think it's going to be fairly close. When there is a correction, I don't expect like a big correction up or down. But it is an incomplete number, and if you can go look on the BLS website, and that's where I'm getting that information. You can see here, publication of the September 2025 Employment Cost Index was delayed by more than 5 weeks because of the lapse in federal appropriations. Collection of September data had not been completed prior to the federal government shutdown. After funding had been restored, any data self-reported by establishments during the shutdown were reviewed and included. However, survey response rates decreased in September. So this is just according to their own report. This is an incomplete record, more incomplete than normal. But we will get those surveys in, and they'll correct the number to wherever it winds up going. But again, based on what I'm seeing, I don't think we're going to see like a massive correction. Here is Bank of America, and the reason I'm showing this is one to say, if you are a person who judges the president on GDP, that's fine. But we need to talk about what GDP is, what it measures, and what this number is actually telling us, because I'm watching CNBC this morning, and I'm watching all the financial heads, and they're bragging about this. And in some, like, if you care a lot about GDP, great. But what they're saying isn't true. What they're saying this tells us isn't true.
With Steve, what do you think of what you just heard? I think this is a very, very impressive GDP report. As Steve correctly pointed out, 8% essentially nominal GDP growth. Consumer spending really beat expectations. This is pretty unusual. I mean, we had the monthly data for July, August, and September. So the only thing left was revisions. And the revisions were huge. Otherwise, you can just take the July, August, September number and get 2.7% consumer spending growth. So the fact that we went to 3.5 on consumer spending suggests that the revisions were quite aggressive.
So the estimate was 3.2, and that was based on everything. So what they're saying is the information that they got in for September took us from 3.2, which was that the estimate was based on basically what we had, and that things were so good in September that we went to 4.3%. That's kind of hard to believe, but I just showed you from their own report, it's a very incomplete number. So what they're doing is they're taking the survey data from September, and then they're expanding it as if all the surveys that come in will match like the average that they've pulled there. It is a made-up number. That's true, Rough Ranch hands. It's an estimate every single time, and we could show you how it's calculated. But this is kind of alarming to say we expected 3.2 to 3.5 based on all the data we had, and then the final month, it got so much better in September that we went up nearly or over a full %. That is hard to believe.
And the other components were also probably pretty good to get to 4.3%. I mean, we wrote in our year ahead piece that the economy rarely grows below 2% when we're not in a recession. And yet the Fed keeps saying that 1.8 is the trend growth rate. But looks like we'll get another 2 handle this year.
There's another conclusion we need to make to this, Aditya. I want to get your thoughts on this. Getting back, Joe, to the very
Thanks
interesting
for the
report
gifted
I
subs there,
yes.
Crazy Trees.
I'm joking because Joe was suggesting it may not
No,
be
I just, you said it was going to be interesting. I said, you're kidding.
This number, 4.3% GDP growth, in what has been tallied as the worst quarter for employment growth since 2019, suggests
productivity growth is off the charts.
Off the charts productivity growth.
Yep.
Okay. What is productivity? When they say off the charts productivity growth, what does that mean? It means what we produce, right? Does productivity necessarily mean that you make more money? If your company, for example, automates a bunch of processes and they fire 30% of their workforce, their productivity, which is basically input versus output, is going to go up. Their output goes up, their cost of input goes down, productivity goes up. So does that necessarily mean it's good for you? No. Is it good for you if you hold a stock in that company? Sure. Is it good for you if you own that company? Yes. But when they talk about productivity and the way that they talk about, and then they use these terms, are you more productive? Are we more productive? Is the country more productive? Not necessarily. It just means that our labor costs have gone down in the sector, and that's what they're claiming. And some of that may be true based on the numbers that we look at, and I'll pull that report back up here in a minute. But then we had Howard Lutnick telling just a flat-out fucking lie on TV. But we should be used to that because Howard Lutnick fucking lies on TV every day. It's what he gets paid to do.
The 4.3 GDP growth, beating it by a full point of 3.3. How does that affect our bottom line, our pocketbook issues?
So just think, the whole world out there in the third quarter, the United Kingdom grew 0.1, the European Union grew 0.4, and Japan fell 0.6%. Fell 0.6%. Donald Trump's economy grew. The United States of America, the biggest
I don't know why he's yelling at me all the time, but calm down.
Economy in the world, 4.3%. What that means is that Americans overall, all of us, are going to earn 4.3% more money.
Let's try that again.
All of us are going to earn 4.3% more money. We're making a raise. It's a simple way to do it.
That's not what GDP is. You can see, here's the formula for GDP. Let's go here. Whoops, let me go back, actually. That's the wrong one. Just broadly, using the expenditure approach. Consumption, which is spending by households, like retail and rent, plus investment, which is business spending on capital, new housing, plus government spending, which is public spending on like infrastructure, plus X minus M, which is value of exports minus imports. So none of that is wages, right? We didn't all make 4.3% more. In fact, if you go back to that employment costs index survey, it corrects him. Compensation costs for civilian workers increased 0.8%, not 4.3%. Compensation costs is what they're paying compensation for their workforce. It went up 0.8%, not 4.3. That's in this report. This is the report that he's citing. So I think who said that? They're just banking off a bunch of people not understanding what they're talking about and believing it. Now, the Biden administration ran into the same problem. You can tell people all day long that things are going well, but if it doesn't feel like it's going well, they'll stop caring. We had that podcast yesterday with David Sachs and Chamath and whatever the other guy's name was. And Chamath was like, look, we can tell people that our GDP is going up. We can talk about the stock market all day, but people don't feel that. No. Roscoe, let's be clear. 4.3 GDP is a good number for GDP. What we're criticizing here, and what you guys always do, is I'm criticizing the people that are lying about what happened. Stay with me. If Trump does something good, you should have the people that work for Trump go out and explain what he did that is good. But they're not doing that. They're lying. He's telling you that 4.3% GDP growth means that the average American made 4.3% more. That's a lie. Don't be upset with me when Trump's representatives lie. Be upset with them. I don't think that GDP is something that I don't think it's like the most important economic indicator because of the way that it can be manipulated. So if we go back to like how GDP is measured, for example, let's talk about like consumption. So it's consumption first. Consumption is spending by households. You're going to add that to investment and government and then net exports. So GDP rises when all of these numbers rise. So spending by households, the amount we spend on retail and rent, if that goes up, that helps GDP go up. But if you don't make more money, if you are spending more this year on retail prices and rent prices, but you aren't making more money, then that wasn't beneficial to you, right? So if we're talking about the consumer, which is you and I, our input into GDP says we're just paying more. And we know that that's true. We know that rent is stable. And in some places, I saw a report today, I've got to go into it more. I think it was from like major cities that weirdly, like building more expensive, like luxury apartments has driven down and leveled out the rent for lower end apartments because rich people move, and then the people that own the apartments that the rich people move out of have to lower their prices to bring up the next people. But if you're spending more on groceries, retail, rent, that increases GDP. So that doesn't necessarily mean we're doing well. Then investment, business spending on capital and new housing. If we're investing in businesses, that can be a good thing, but it also could be a bad thing. It also could, not necessarily a bad thing, but it could be spending that doesn't help you. The most of the money that we're spending right now on investment is going into AI. That type of investment doesn't necessarily help you, but it raises GDP. If we're investing in housing and that's driving down the housing costs, then you would see an offset, right? If we invest a bunch of money in housing, then the consumption, the spending by households would go down or at least stabilize it. The third piece is government spending. Well, we know that government spending has gone up this year. So the three things so far that we've covered that have made our GDP go up is that consumers, you and I, are spending more on retail and housing. Investment, which is included, that's the amount of money being invested into the economy, is largely going to products that don't make things cheaper for us or make life really even better for us. The majority of that investment is going into AI and tech. It doesn't help most of us. The government spending Some of that is helpful. We still have spending coming in from the Infrastructure Act, Chips and Science Act. Some of that is helpful. So some of that government spending that is increased GDP is good. Some of that you are seeing a benefit from. If you're somebody who works in construction or the tech sector, and some of this, the Infrastructure Act or the Chips and Science Act, it might have provided a job for you, might have provided a raise for you. Some of that could be good. Again, like GDP isn't good or bad. It's a measure of basically output. And we can have high output without a net benefit to most of us. And that's, I think, what we're looking at here. And then the last is value of exports minus imports. So we're exporting things still, but we've reduced the amount of imports. And so exports going out increases the GDP minus the imports that have gone down. That raises GDP. But does that help you? It doesn't. I know. I mean, I'm in this industry, so exports doesn't really help me at all. Are there some people that this has helped? Certainly. There's smaller businesses in some instances that I know. There's a jeans company that's like made in America, and they've said like because of Trump's tariffs, they're selling more jeans now due to tariffs. The cost that it costs them to make jeans in America is like stable now with the price of jeans that are imported. So it's helping them. So for some people, it is helping you. But I know that there's politicians and it's spin. I'm not saying that this number is necessarily bad, but I am pointing out that it's not putting more money in your pockets. This is just something that most people that are arguing about GDP today, they're using it as a political weapon. Oh, look at GDP. Cool. Look at GDP. What did it do? That's the question we should be asking. Is this positive GDP number helping most Americans? Is it disproportionately helping some? I would argue that this GDP number has made wealthy people more wealthy, and that's backed up by the facts. The average American isn't seeing their wages rise with inflation. The average 1%er is seeing their net worth accelerate far past inflationary numbers. Like they're making way more than 3% a year. Most of us aren't seeing our net worth increase by 3% every year. They are. So just remember that when we're talking GDP. And then go back again to hear Howard Lutnick explain it.
6%. Donald Trump's economy grew. The United States of America.
That's true. Thank you, Jimmy Lee, who messaged GDP was also boosted by tariffs. So bringing in money from tariffs. Thank you. I didn't add that. Alex said this one's just for Adam. Orange Man is bad. Thank you.
Biggest economy in the world, 4.3%. What that means is that Americans overall, all of us, are going to earn 4.3% more money. We're making a raise. It's a simple way to do it. We've got more jobs, lower energy costs.
We've lost jobs. Energy costs have gone up. This is what I'm saying. Like, this is why it gets fucking frustrating in America. It's just like, this is all a lie. GDP means that your wages went up 4.3%. No, it doesn't. We have more jobs. No, we have less jobs. We have lower energy costs. The opposite is true.
And lower interest rates coming.
And lower interest rates accompany an economy that's in decline. Interest rates go up when we're doing well, usually down when we're not doing well. So if somebody is saying, look at the interest rates coming down, that's not a good sign.
This is the golden age coming. 4.3% this quarter means Americans on average are making more money in their pocketbooks. That makes for a great Christmas.
Yeah, that's just a lie. Not to get too personal, but raise your hand if you felt more financial stress preparing for Christmas this year, whether you celebrate it, buying gifts. I've heard a lot of people say, I saw somebody in the chat, I actually thought it was beautiful. They said, like, this year we're focusing on like quality time over presents for Christmas, and it's been better. Same. Far from my best financial year. I knew that doing what we're doing, like going into content creation, like private sector, I'm going to make more. But I don't think most Americans right now are feeling like, yeah, this was the year. It's been a good couple of years. It's been a good 5 years. I don't think anybody's really felt that, like average Americans since COVID has felt very good. Want to see. Thank you. Appreciate that, guys. And for those of you that are struggling, make that time with your family. We can still turn this around. This type of pain that the government is inflicting on people won't forget that. And when the cult leader is gone, when Donald Trump's, because I think Donald Trump will be the cult leader as long as he lives, but as long as his life lasts, I don't know how many more years he has left in him, we're going to struggle with this. But when he's gone and the cult falls apart, we're going to be left with something that we have to rebuild. And saying give billionaires more money, like nobody's going to believe that anymore. It will turn around. I really do believe, and maybe that's the opposite of me. I believe it will turn around. But for now, we're going to be frustrated. We're going to try it one at a time. We pick people off one at a time. Show them the information. Show them that the billionaire class is lying to you, and hope that one at a time people figure this out. I want to go on now to the war on renewable energy. I think we might have played this the other day, but here's Doug Burgum announcing cuts to wind farms with the dumbest fucking reason possible.
What next action did you want to tell us about this?
I agree with you, Nodog. It doesn't, interest rates going up or down doesn't necessarily mean good or bad, but in the last 30 years, historically, we use interest rates to encourage investment. And usually we're encouraging investment when we have liquidity problems. And because of the way that, because of our debt and the way that our economy is made up, generally speaking, we're lowering rates to access liquidity to bail ourselves out of some bad decisions. But you are right. It doesn't necessarily mean that.
Morning.
Well, today we're sending notifications to the 5 large offshore wind projects that are under construction that they're going to be, their leases will be suspended due to national security concerns. During this time of suspension, we'll work with the...
Yes. First they were killing the birds. Now they're coming for us. It started with the birds. Oh, it's quiet on YouTube. I think this is just a quiet clip. I can't turn that up anymore, I don't think. Birds were trying to tell us these windmills are fucking coming for you. These are the Al-Qaeda windmills.
Companies to try to find a mitigation, but we've completed the work that President Trump has asked us to do. The Department of War has come back conclusively that the issues related to these large offshore wind programs create radar interference that creates a genuine risk for the U.S., particularly related to the where they are in proximity to our East Coast population centers.
Anybody, just for the chat, what did Doug Burgum do before he worked for this administration and killed wind farms? Who did he work for? Does anybody know? Do you think the people he represents would have any interest in destroying renewable energy? Yeah, he was an oil lobbyist. Yeah. Yeah. This guy runs the Department of, he's what, DOE? Because the oil donors put him there. Yeah. Renewable energy is actually a national security problem. We tried saying that it killed the birds. We tried saying it gave cancer. We tried saying it killed the whales, and nobody gave a fuck. So now we're going to lie. I'd say it's a national security problem. They can't even keep their story straight. He just sitting there, he's just thinking like, I'm making so much fucking money off this shit. I want to read you a tweet thread from Sheldon Whitehouse, and I'm going to just read the thread from, I guess it was like, it's kind of hard to follow, so I'll read it, but I want to show you this. He's talking about this Trump administration executive order that he signed. I think this was like his second day in office on 12/22/2025. And they started this administration going after offshore wind. He said the Department of the Interior today announced today that it's pausing effective immediately the leases for all large-scale offshore wind projects under construction in the United States due to national security risks identified by the Department of War in recently completed classified reports. This pause will give the department, along with the Department of War and other relevant government agencies, time to work with leaseholders and state partners to assess the possibility of mitigating the national security risks posed by these projects. And now we know we're just canceling them. Senator Whitehouse said, a federal court actually held this, and this went to court. It has been ruled illegal for them to do this. The courts have ruled you can't do this. Pursuant to that illegal order, then Trump issued a stop work order for Revolution Wind. A court held that also to be illegal. So back to back, the court said this is illegal. Trump didn't even appeal that. They just instead came out and said it's a national security issue. So they tried doing it by just pausing the work orders, and the courts ruled those unconstitutional. And so then Trump's just like, it's a national security issue. That was considered in the initial permit awarded. So when they first gave the permit for these, the Department of Defense actually considered that and did their own investigation and said it wasn't an issue. That's partly why Trump lost the appeal. So there's no reason to believe this claim is in good faith. Every clean offshore wind electron displaces a fossil fuel gas-fueled electron, meaning this gimmick is yet another direct money payoff to Trump's fossil fuel donors. The corruption runs deep, wherever fossil fuel is concerned. No administration has been more corrupt for fossil fuel than this one. Now we're going to go to war for those same fossil fuel people. It's epic, by the way, that AG's asserted millions in consumer savings from offshore wind, and in court proceedings, Trump's team didn't even deny it. Consumers are saving money because of this. Trump's team didn't even address that in court. So the payoff to Trump's fossil fuel donors comes right out of the ratepayers' pockets. You pay for their corruption. Here's PBS explaining what this means for people who were benefiting from offshore wind projects. By the way, I do have a hard cutoff today in about 45 minutes, so I'll try and get through this quickly.
$6 billion, 65-turbine wind farm off the coast of New England, known as Revolution Wind. The holdup has put thousands...
Steven, stick with me, and we'll see if there's anything that we left out. This is just the beginning of it. Let me know if there's stuff that I left out. I'm happy. I'm not an expert on this. So if there's stuff that I'm missing out, instead of saying there's more than you're leaving out, drop it in the comments, or you can come up and explain to me what we're leaving out.
Out of work and raises big questions about not just the future of this project, but similar efforts across the eastern seaboard. Science correspondent Miles O'Brien's been covering it all. He joins us now from Groton, Connecticut. So, Miles, we can see this.
PBS is propaganda. Stop it, Fred. Stop it. Don't be like that, Fred. I liked you. Fred, this is one suggestion I'll just make. When you see a logo, don't assume that it's wrong. Most news organizations are telling the truth, like most of the time when they do something like this. If there's stuff that they're missing, you can point it out. But don't be a person who dismisses things because of the logo. And that goes for people on the left too. Just listen to what they have to say first.
Huge project behind you. I'm assuming that's part of Revolution Wind. Why has it been such a big deal in this battle over wind power?
It's a big deal because it's a big project, Amna. 700 megawatts, which equates to power for 350,000 homes in Rhode Island and Connecticut. It's run by a company called Ørsted out of Denmark. Over my shoulder, you'll see.
Stephen, I just want to point out, you said your utility bill is much lower this year. I don't know how that's where you are, how that's possible. But what you're about to watch here is a bunch of people whose utility bill was lower due to wind energy. So what's the difference between what you're saying and what they're saying? Only that they've provided evidence. Stephen, if you want to drop like the city that you're in, we can look up why your energy bills are gone. I'd love to fact check that. But if you want to tell me which part of Texas, Stephen, I'll look into it while we're doing this.
A giant vessel, which is a wind turbine installation vessel. Vessels like these cost more than $260,000 a day. So the meter is running on a ship that should be out 20 miles from where I am, doing its work to finish this project, which is at the 80% completion state. I saw this machine in action latter part of last year in December. It's an extraordinary thing. That whole thing jacks up, and the turbines are built and the blades are put on. The project is big, and its sudden stop is a big loss for the economy here. I sat down with the governor of Rhode Island, Dan McKee.
I don't think the Trump administration really understands the consequences.
I actually think Stephen is telling the truth, by the way, about his energy costs in Austin, Texas. You had an increase in 2023, 2024 due to the winter storms and the outages. And then in early 2025, there was a PSA adjustment, which took rates down around $2 due to favorable energy market conditions, meaning they probably had an excess of stored energy. But late in this year, base rates for Austin Energy have risen 5%, and we expect another 5% next year. So Stephen's telling the truth, but it does look like those prices are going back up if you're using Austin Energy.
Of this action, right? And the job loss, the energy loss, the loss of in terms of our ability to compete. And then the other thing that it sends is the signal to businesses. What are permits worth if all of a sudden, when you're 80% in a project, regardless of what the project is, that somehow the federal government is not going to honor those permits?
So, yeah, the governor says he is willing to engage in a political deal. There have been other threats by the Trump administration to shut down wind projects.
Carlos, stick around. I tell the truth a lot, and I admit when I'm wrong, and I'll fact check. I want you guys to engage with me. I want you to get your points across. And if you engage honestly, we'll check your facts. I just want to get the right answer. I could give a fuck about like who has the right answer. I just want to get the right answer. I'm ADHD and a little autistic. My biggest fear is being wrong. I hate being wrong. And the only way to do a daily show every day with a crippling fear of being wrong is to understand that you're going to be wrong a lot and learn to be okay with being wrong, which I'm okay being. I don't mind when I'm wrong. My audience corrects me more than anybody. It's a good audience. That's what I like about this audience. That's why we get rid of trolls and I banish them, because I want an audience here that's engaging, and I want the blinds. I want my blind spot to be met. So if you show up here and you meet my blind spot, great. Give me data. Give me something to look up. I'll look it up.
Empire Wind in New York is still going after a close call. Vineyard Wind to the north of here in Massachusetts is still going. The governor said he will entertain even a pipeline deal, a gas pipeline deal, if that's what it would take. But so far, there's no deal on the table. He would like an audience with the president on them.
So, Miles, 80% completed and then abruptly halted. What justification did the Trump administration give for why this project was stopped?
Well, the Secretary of Energy, Chris Wright, says wind and solar are worthless. Those are his words. He says because of the intermittency, they don't work at nighttime if it's solar or when the wind is not blowing.
That's so stupid. Like, batteries exist. Everybody here, right, left, middle, dumb, smart, everybody knows what a battery is. It is a remarkably stupid thing to say, to be like, it doesn't work when the wind isn't blowing. Yeah, it's not connected to your house, right? Like, there's batteries that we store energy all the time. Part of what we were just talking about with Austin, Texas price is they gave that power supply adjustment because they were able to store more energy so they could reduce the rates. It's kind of the point.
Comes to wind. And the Secretary of Interior, Doug Burgum, has said this project has not been vetted, that it was fast-tracked. But the initial permitting for this actually goes back to 2011. For Revolution Wind specifically, in 2019, the whole process began. The Defense Department has looked at this at least a couple of times, and yet they say there is a national security issue. Here's Doug Burgum.
Yes, they were permitted, but they got moved through a very fast, ideologically driven permitting process. We've been asked, as part of an executive order from the president, to take a whole of government approach to review those. I think the fact
that it took years, and they stalled it on one day. Trump wrote an executive order in one day. They're talking about a biased, ideological. By the way, this is not ideological. It has only become ideological. Nobody on the right is actually ideologically opposed to wind and solar energy. They've just been told that they are. They just say things like green new scam to make you like, and they say it enough times that you now say, oh, I like renewable energy, but the Democrats do it in a bad way. No. These are two people paid by big oil. These are two people whose suits were bought by big oil. You could not be more biased. You could not be more bought and paid for than these two guys. And they're like, oh, well, it's just because they love green energy. Yeah, you're killing green energy. For whatever you want to say, and we're going to get some pushback here now. Statistically, solar energy and wind energy is the cheapest form of energy to generate. Solar, I believe, is next. Argue all you want that it's hard, it takes up space, it's expensive to build a windmill, whatever you want to say. You think it looks icky. We can argue on the basis of fact, but these guys always have to fucking lie because gas and oil is not renewable. And they need to figure out a way to go to battle against something that is renewable. You will never convince me that solar energy is a bad thing, especially where I live. If I didn't have solar on my house, I would have been paying over $1,000 a month for my energy bill this month. My neighbors filled in their pool because they couldn't afford the energy costs. And so I would have paid $1,000 a month for energy, which I couldn't afford because I do this. And instead it was around like $250. And that includes, by the way, the lease that I pay for the equipment. How are you going to argue that with me? No, my roof doesn't leak either. Got a great roof. How are you going to argue that? I agree that but by the way, that's another silly thing to say, like your roof leaks. That's because of a bad contractor, not because of solar. Yes, there have been bad contractors who put up solar panels who fuck people's roofs up. That's not a solar problem. That's a contractor problem. But how are you going to convince me that I should get rid of solar? Why would I do that? It saved me. I couldn't have afforded to pay without solar. Holes in roof. Yeah. I don't know if you know that when you put solar on, you can fix holes, or you can create like we have tile roof, and then you have the panels with the lifts for the solars, and then they went and they reinforced the roof from the inside. So give it time, it will leak. I guarantee it. Well, that's what I'm supposed to do. Guys, we can't have solar because it'll leak. All roofs leak eventually. Is there a roof that doesn't eventually leak?
The subsidies have been either cut back or limited, means that it's likely that there will not be future.
I live in Arizona. Solar works great in the winter. Again, solar doesn't work everywhere. I live in Arizona. I live in the biggest county, the biggest metropolitan county, I think, in the country. Have you been to LA? Have you been to San Diego? Have you been to Las Vegas? Have you been, like, there are places all over this country where it's sunny. I think we get like 355 days of sunshine. Today it's cloudy. It's incredibly unusual for it to be cloudy. What we could do is we could build out, if you've ever driven through Arizona or Nevada, most of the state is just empty desert. You could just build solar farms there. You could power the entire country by putting solar farms in Arizona and Nevada. Why don't we do that? Oh, well, what about the oil companies?
Offshore wind built in America.
So that initial environmental assessment goes way back. And the other issue that's come up time and again is the cost. The cost of this electricity is locked in for the next 20 years at 9.8 cents per kilowatt hour. That is about half of what electricity costs by other sources in this part of the world. So it is cheaper power. It is ready to go online. Meanwhile, there's a lot of workers that are feeling the hurt in this.
All right. We're largest county by size. Thanks. LA County is the biggest county, then Cook County, then Harris, then Maricopa. We're the largest county by size.
I spoke yesterday to a painter who's worked on these projects for a couple of years, 10 years of painting experience. He goes out for 12 weeks at a time, Amna, and works overtime out offshore and makes $75,000. It's enough to get him through the year, and he needs the money. He's got 6 kids. I also earlier today went out with a fisherman, Gary Yerman, and a lot of fishermen have been against this. And Gary in particular is a strong Trump supporter. He has started a business which allows fishermen to provide security and other services to the wind farms. It's been
let's go ahead and debunk this one. Not debunk, but Baby Turtle and somebody else said this too. How much oil does it take to build a windmill? Why do we use oil to build a windmill? Because whenever you invent new technology, you have to use the old technology for the new technology. It's why China is using so much coal. But what's China trying to do? They're trying to create enough renewable energy that they no longer have to use coal. How did we build roads for cars? We used horses. I imagine some people were like, cars will never work. Your great-great-grandpa, great-great-great-great-great-grandpa was sitting there going, cars will never work. Look, we have to use horses to build the roads. We have to haul in all of the materials with horses. You can't get rid of horses. And then cars, like this is how technology works. You use the existing technology to build the new technology, and eventually you convert over. Now, I don't know if we'll ever be 100% renewable, but we should use renewable energy wherever it makes sense. And this is why I fucking hate what Republicans have done to you folks, is that you have now become ideologically opposed to clean, renewable energy. And you just point out the places where it has flaws. Let's talk about oil. Oil has flaws. Like, oil has flaws, doesn't it? Makes our air dirtier. We remember that one time we spilled it in the ocean. The one time, all the times we spill it in the ocean and it kills marine life. How about the fact that it fucks up our environment? How about the fact that I have to pay every single fucking time I want to go drive my car? It costs me money every time I want to drive my car. It's a combustion engine. It's an explosive engine with tons of extra moving parts. And those moving parts need all sorts of different like lubricants. And none of us can figure out how to use any of that stuff. And I have to remember to go change my oil. There's problems with every technology. So nitpicking and saying, oh, there's a problem. What's the quote like, perfection is the enemy to innovation? That's what you guys are doing. You are just ho-hum, like, get off my lawn. I don't like new things. New technology is scary. So you just nitpick dumb shit. But like everybody else is doing better. I'm going to show you what China's doing here in a minute. They're blowing us out of the water. We're being left behind because you old curmudgeons just are desperate to let these oil barons make as much as they can. They know. Why do you think Saudi Arabia is investing in all these other countries right now? They know it's on the way out. They know it's a dying energy source. So they're weirdly enough, like they're investing in companies in America. Oil? No. They're diversifying their investments because they know that oil is on the way out. We seem to be the only country in the world, us and Russia, are like the only two countries that are like, hey, now that everybody's out of the oil game, let's do oil. It is absolutely moronic that we have an administration who is fighting against renewable energy. We are being left behind by the rest of the world because we're dumb. Let's just be honest. We've attacked education for so long. We've dumbed down our population. We're arrogant as fuck. We think that we know things just based on gut instinct. And now we're doing the dumbest shit imaginable so that Trump's donors can make some more money.
They'll boon to them during their quiet times. Listen to Gary.
You know, a lot of people think Trump's crazy, so on and so forth. And there's a lot of money that's been spent to, create this green energy, which I believe
Jeremy says, Merry Christmas, hail Santa.
We need more energy in this country, and I don't understand why. So yeah, I think that it just gives the opposition more fuel to.
Green energy is look, green energy is not green in that it creates no pollution to create the mechanism, but like my solar panel, when it was created, whatever amount of carbon footprint was put out there to create the solar panels, it's not creating any more carbon now. Right? So now the energy is renewable. Again, you guys get so caught up with like taglines. That's the point. Like it's renewable. We were talking about renewable energy. And I think it's also why they never say renewable energy. They say green energy scam. I just want renewable energy or cheap energy, cheap, clean energy. That's all I care about. I don't care how we do it. Like a lot of people talk about nuclear. I'm fine. If nuclear is safe, if we can do nuclear energy, great. Let's do nuclear energy. Whatever we can do to have better air and cheaper energy, I'm on board with. And it like we live in this situation where like Republicans can't have that. You can't say that as a Republican. You can't want clean energy for some reason.
Go against Donald Trump. So I think politically, it could go against him.
Oil's
So the
almost
big
free. It's
picture
getting there.
here, Amna, is that there's wind projects out there, about a half a dozen of them, including this one, which ultimately represent enough power to generate electricity for 11 million homes up and down the eastern seaboard by 2030. That was the Biden administration.
That's a lot of homes that now we're going to have to pay more for their energy. 11 million homes would be powered by this, which means cheaper energy for them.
Goal, but the Trump administration simply cannot tolerate wind. The president is a longtime opponent of it from the time when a wind turbine or a series of them were installed off his golf course in Scotland. So the country and this region in particular is at an energy turning point. This is cheap electricity. In many cases, it's built. And many people here are wondering what the logic is in leaving those pylons just standing there, rusting in the ocean.
That is our science correspondent, Miles O'Brien.
Yeah. Be better, MAGA. Don't let them lie to you. I want to show you. Somebody mentioned Mr. Global. He's better at this. That PBS was a little boring. I admit it. I didn't have a ton of time to build out a show today, so I'm relying heavily on other people's research. But here's Mr. Global in his make-believe tiny house, which I think looks cool, to explain what this actually means in terms of what we will lose and how we will need to replace the energy that we're about to lose.
We will not allow a windmill to be built in the United States. They're killing us.
That fucked with me. That it was true. I thought I played the wrong video. Sorry.
We will not allow a windmill to be built in the United States. They're killing us. They're killing.
You might want to sit down for this one. I'm just saying, because these numbers are staggering. So sit down. Sit down. First of all, Donald Trump isn't lying. He's not going to allow windmills to be built. Now, if they were approved and started under the Biden administration, they're going to proceed. But yeah, we're going to lose 80 gigawatts of electric power just from the loss of wind turbines from Donald Trump's policies. That's got to be replaced with something. And it's going to be natural gas. How much natural gas will we have to produce to replace the wind turbines that aren't going to be built? About 7.5 billion cubic feet per day. So by 2030, we got to add 7.5 billion cubic feet per day. But wait, there's more. We also got to add about 14 billion cubic feet of gas per day for, new data centers and AI. 20 billion cubic feet per day more for LNG exports. Another 6 billion cubic feet per day more because we're shutting down coal plants to swap to natural gas. About 3 billion cubic feet per day more for rising temperatures, and that's just based off the current trend of rising temperatures. By the year 2030, we're going to have to produce 3 billion cubic feet per day more just from temperatures. I don't know if you're catching on, but all of this means we're going to have to add about 50 billion cubic feet of gas production a day in the United States in the next 5 years. In the last 5 years, we added 10. In the last 5 years, we added 10. Oh, we need to.
Yeah. This makes sense why we're talking about. Yeah, somebody said that. Hence the pirating of oil ships. Why do we want to go to Greenland? Why do we want to go to Venezuela? We're staring a disaster in the face right now. And watch MAGA say, that's all right. We'll just murder people and take over their countries, all so that you get the benefit of paying more money for your energy. But this isn't what you voted for. You did not vote for your energy prices to go up, and they're going up, and you know that they're going up, and they're going to go up even more. And that's if we can steal oil from other countries. That's if we can force them to give their resources. This is where we're getting to the point where, I think Trump's going to fuck us so bad that it's going to destroy the conservative movement forever. This is one of those times that I hate making predictions. And admittedly, I want this to be true. I think that Donald Trump is going to destroy conservatism for 40 to 50 years. Nobody will ever trust you dipshits ever again. Never. Because this is not sustainable. It's not building an affordable future. He's handing the government off. Or we're Russia. Or we have a total oligarchy. And that's just the end of democracy, which I also think they're trying to do. I also think they're trying to end democracy. And I only say that because they keep saying that they're trying to end democracy. I'm taking them at their word. So my bad for that. Saving the world from what, Josh? What's Trump saving the world from, Josh? He's gonna say something. Joshua Wesson, what's Trump saving the world from? These aren't leftist talking points, Stephen. These are my own points. I don't think many people on the left would say what I'm saying. I think that what I'm saying is statistically highly unlikely. It's a bad statistically, it's a bad prediction by me. If there were betting markets, they would give my percentage at less than 1%. And admittedly, it might just be being trying to find some like silver lining. Or did Josh give us an answer there? We'll wait for one. Here's the rest of Mr. Global.
Add 110,000 miles of high voltage transmission lines as well. In the last 5 years, we've added under 2,000. So we need to 5x our natural gas drilling. We need to 50x our installation of high voltage transmission lines. None of which is currently happening, by the way. We also need to add about 5,000 miles of high capacity pipeline. That's 42-inch pipeline just for natural gas distribution. So what we're looking at is over $100 billion a year invested in new drilling. We're looking at about $30 billion in new pipelines. Oh, and we're looking at $750 billion in new high voltage transmission lines. All that has to be done in the next 5 years. And a lot of that stuff, if it started today, wouldn't be done in 5 years. What does all that mean? That means natural gas.
Rough Ranchets, I just want to point out that Mr. Global here, like this is his job. What you're doing right now and what most MAGA is doing when smart people talk is you're doing cognitive dissonance. It's where when things are going against your beliefs or what you support, your brain shuts down. It's like it's an actual thing that you guys have hardwired into you. And it's because of years and years and years and centuries of humans going in packs and having groupthink and being in small, tight-knit communities, and anything outside of your community, anything different, triggers an alert in your brain that it's dangerous. And that's because for centuries, another tribe or another community was dangerous to you. But that stuff is passed down genetically. It's how science works. And they've done studies on this. The conservative brain is terrified all the time. You respond to that. And so what happens is, and why you are so quick to give up your own rights and your individuality is because of the collectivism. That's why Donald Trump being a populist worked for you. It doesn't explain me, Real Raw Truth. I appreciate what you're saying, or whoever said that. It doesn't. It's the opposite of what explains me. Like I'm on the spectrum. I'm very different that way. And I'm not saying this as an insult. I'm saying you should be aware of it. We all have like blind spots. For me, like where the way that I think, like I'm far less likely to think about like middle ground type stuff. Right? Like I'm going to assess a problem, and whether I'm right or wrong, I'm going to dig into the details and I'm going to come up with the solution that I think is correct. And I'm going to be bad historically at like compromising and finding a middle ground. That's a difficult thing for me to do. So, but for some people, and this isn't just like Republican, Democrat, it's conservatives. And there are people that watch this show that are conservative. They would like to conserve what we have now, and change also scares them. But what we're talking about here is that like you're afraid of a new energy, and they take advantage of that. They know that you're afraid of change. They know that if they say Green New Scam and they tie it to socialism or communism, because those are the other tribes, those were the bad guys in all the movies that you ever watched. You've been programmed to believe socialism, communism, bad. Socialist, communist, they're the ones doing green energy, bad. That it doesn't take very much for you to be completely biased against something like this. Mr. Global's an expert. That's why he's talking instead of me. That's why he has this as a job and you don't. So listen to the statistics of what he's saying. Don't dismiss it because he happens to be saying that Trump's living in a fantasy land. Figure out if there's an argument against this.
Years, and a lot of that stuff, if it started today, wouldn't be done in 5 years. What does all that mean? That means natural gas prices are going to go through the roof. That means the grid is not going to be able to handle the amount of electricity we need, because there's no way we're replacing 110,000 miles of transmission lines in the next 5 years.
Be honest with yourselves. Do you think that this administration is thinking about you and your energy needs? Do you think they understand what it's like to not be able to pay an energy bill? Who in this administration isn't like a billionaire? Who of these decision makers isn't filthy fucking rich? You have to be real honest with that. Like, if you have lived experience does matter. It's hard for me to take a walk in your shoes. In fact, I don't know what it's like really to grow up progressive. I'm far more I understand the conservative, like a white conservative moderate American. Like, I understand growing up that way in a white community full of conservatives who are heavily religious. My friends that were raised liberal, there's a reason that most of my friends now that I hang out with still are conservative or raised like me. We understand each other. If Trump was born with a silver spoon, he's been rich his entire life. There's not a problem he's ever had that he couldn't buy his way out of. And you think that he understands this? You think that Donald Trump has the foresight to think of the infrastructure problems headed our way? No. He's not thinking about it all. But who's he listening to? And I'm not saying any president necessarily does that, or any politician. But you need to make sure that they're getting good advice. Who are they getting advice from? Not regular people. They're getting advice from the oil lobbyists. The oil lobbyists see this and they see dollar signs. They don't think in terms of infrastructure. If the infrastructure fails, that doesn't really affect them that much. So who in this administration do we have that understands infrastructure? For fuck's sakes, the Department of Transportation guy was on MTV and then he was a lobbyist. He's a TV star. Who do you have in this administration that we could point at and lean on and say, you know what? This is somebody who understands infrastructure, or at the very least is surrounded by people who understand infrastructure. These are a bunch of lobbyists. And Mr. Global's pointing out real problem. Now, again, maybe they do. Maybe they do have an answer for this. I don't know about it. Do you know about it? And if you are saying that this is a lie, just present the opposite part of the evidence. Show me the other side of the evidence. I think what a lot of you are saying is, this sounds bad. Trump for sure has an answer. I looked for an answer from this administration. I don't have an answer.
Because there's no way we're replacing 110,000 miles of transmission lines in the next 5 years. It's not a thing. What does it mean when your grid doesn't have space or capacity or reliability to deliver electricity? It means skyrocketing electricity prices. You guys have no idea. You guys have no idea how bad this is. I've been trying to tell you, but you're not getting it. When I say the electric bills you're getting right now are just the tip of the iceberg, I mean it's...
Well, we're not talking about the rising sea level. Why would I be talking about the rising sea level right now?
It's just the tip, and it's a great big fucking iceberg. Yes, it is the perfect time to stop all renewable energy. It is the perfect time. Thanks.
TM, I don't know if you might be new here. I hope you understand. I'm not a Democrat. Democrats are corrupted by these same people. There are Democrats that are the Democrats aren't speaking up about this. Do you know why they're not speaking up about this? Because most of them are owned by the same people. They don't give a fuck. They're also cashing checks from the same people who are running this administration. Who's speaking up about this that's in office right now? The only ones that ever speak up about this are the ones that aren't owned, that don't take corporate money. It's like AOC, Bernie Sanders, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Elizabeth Warren. The only people on our side of the aisle to ever speak up against this stuff are people who don't take this money. So before you get yourself too tied up in like, I'm just a Democrat, I'm not. TM, you're crazy if you don't think Trump is controlled. Trump is, if you give him money and compliments, he does whatever. Let me just give you some examples, TM, of some. Donald Trump called cryptocurrency a scam. When did he change his mind? Was it before or after he got a bunch of money from the crypto industry? Donald Trump used to advocate for universal health care. Was that before or after he got a bunch of money from the health insurance companies? Donald Trump used to be an advocate for electric vehicles and renewable energy. Then he got a bunch of oil money. Donald Trump has changed almost all of his positions since he became president based on money. And yes, other politicians do it too, but it is very silly of you to say that Trump can't be bought. He's made more money in this 11 months than he has his entire life. And he's done it largely from crypto, which he said he was against. Okay, I'm lying. Let's see. Want me to show you Trump talking about crypto? We'll do this. You have to apologize after I show you this clip. Where's this from? Let me use Google instead of Twitter, actually. Fox is going to make us watch a commercial first.
These eyes want a new look.
Because conservatives can't let you do anything without seeing an
It
ad.
doesn't break the bank. With a quality eye exam and 2 pairs of glasses at one great price.
An eye exam plus 2 pairs of glasses for $95 at America's Best.
The opening bell for Wall Street is about to ring. I'll ask you one last question. You don't like Bitcoin? You wouldn't invest in Bitcoin? Do you invest in the stock market at this moment?
So not at this moment. I think it's high. So I have not invested in the stock market at this moment. I have in the past, but I have not at this moment. I think it's high. Okay. Bitcoin, it just seems like a scam. I was surprised. You know, with us, it was at 6,000 and much lower. I don't like it because it's another currency competing against the dollar. Essentially, it's a currency competing against the dollar. I want the dollar to be the currency of the world. That's what I've always said.
Okay. Let's compare that to this. That's Trump after leaving office, not getting crypto money. And then Trump, before he came into office this time, got a bunch of crypto money. What did I search the last time? Hold on. Let me see.
Americans are unaware that behind the scenes, the technical backbone of the financial system is decades out of date, many, many years out of date. You know that. Paul and others are straightening it out, but payments and money transfers are costly and take days or even weeks to clear. Under this bill, the entire ancient system will be eligible for a 21st century upgrade using the state-of-the-art crypto technology. Who would have thought we would have been saying that 2 years after?
What changed? Did a new technology exist? Or did he get billions of dollars? Got billions of dollars. Wait, he didn't call it a scam. He said it seems like a scam. That's exactly what I said. What are you talking about? By the way, it is. It's a Ponzi scheme. Cryptocurrency is competing against the dollar. And what's crazy about crypto, and this is why I get frustrated with you Republicans. Donald Trump saw correctly that cryptocurrency was in competition with the US dollar. He was right about that. First time he was right. That's why he opposed it. Then he got paid. And now he's trying to replace the dollar with cryptocurrency. And why did he get so much money? Because crypto in its infancy, the first time I became aware of crypto, I lived in Iowa. And there was a guy that I don't remember what, I was selling him golf clubs, I think. And he wanted to buy the golf clubs with Bitcoin. I don't remember what it was. I want to say it was like 20. Somebody check the price of Bitcoin in like July of 2008. I think that's when it was. Was it 2008? Might have been 2009. July of 2009. You want to pay for the golf clubs with Bitcoin. I remember we went to this restaurant. We sat down with them. We had lunch with them, and I was like, dude, that's such a fucking scam. Anyways, then I read the Silk Road, which is the story of Ross Ulbricht, who Trump just pardoned. And crypto was like a libertarian idea. In fact, it's what Peter Thiel tried to do with PayPal. And I'll end this quick. We have about 5 minutes. But here's what happened with cryptocurrency. A bunch of rich people identified that whoever controls the money controls everything. And they recognized that they couldn't win elections, though they tried. Originally, when Peter Thiel created PayPal, it was to compete against the dollar. You can go back, you can read it. That was his plan. He wanted PayPal to be an alternate currency, but they couldn't really make money that way. So then they said, like, here's what we'll do. We'll turn it into a payment like transfer system, and we'll try and make money. But the end goal is still to replace US currency. So then you have these people that created crypto, whoever it was. Like, did we figure out who the Bitcoin guy was? Do we know who that was? Anyways, all of these people that did Bitcoin, early on investors, they were like, here's why we love cryptocurrency. It's decentralized. And we don't trust banks. We know what happens when banks are involved. They manipulate everything, they control the money, and they make sure that no matter how the money circulates, it winds up going up to them. That was the libertarian principle behind cryptocurrency. Good idea. Yeah, Satoshi. Did we figure out who he was yet or not? So they think that they're going to have this new currency, and it's a way to get off so that the government can't control it and the big banks can't control it. And now where are we with cryptocurrency? The biggest holders of Bitcoin, Ethereum, World Liberty Financial, I think World Liberty is one of the top 5. They're all billionaires. And now the banks are involved. The richest people, the bankers, the investors, they own most of the cryptocurrency now. They control it. And the reason that they have moved now, the reason that you see JP Morgan Chase move into cryptocurrency is because it's deregulated. They don't like all the hoops that people like Elizabeth Warren put in front of them so they couldn't manipulate the markets. And now they see crypto, which is literally nothing. I can't explain enough times that cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, it is literally nothing. Blockchain technology is a thing. Blockchain technology is useful. Blockchain technology is useful for transferring money. But Bitcoin, Ethereum, it's nothing. The reason Bitcoin is worth $100,000 a coin is because people say so. And now the people that control it, that have enough of it that they can stabilize the price, are the same people who consistently crash our economy and rig the system. So all of these people who once were like the purveyors of crypto, the ones who were pushing this new technology as a way to make sure that big banks couldn't control everything, it has now been hijacked by big banks. And now they control the whole thing. And now they're moving money into it because they can manipulate it. So you took something that I think had some utility and was a good idea, and Donald Trump saw this as an opportunity. He's like, oh, fuck. Suddenly the guy, like overnight, the guy, Donald Trump, who said crypto was a scam, became a crypto billionaire, like overnight. Never mind, it's good. Oh, what? Now I have billions of dollars? Oh, it's because my sons are really into it and they're so fucking brilliant. Eric and Don Jr. are so goddamn brilliant. No, they ran back-to-back crypto pump and dumps that made them hundreds of millions of dollars. And then they have a stable coin that they're using to allow people to launder money. And they're going out and they're shopping this to the whole world. And they're telling you, hey, we're the United States of America. You can put money into World Liberty Financial. You can launder your money through World Liberty Financial coins because the only people that have oversight, it's my dad. He's not going to do anything about it. He runs the DOJ. He runs the SEC. He runs everything. Don't worry. We're not going to regulate this. Go ahead and launder your money. And that's how the Trumps have made billions of dollars while being president. Don't say that Trump can't be bought. Everything he does, every move he makes is either to protect himself or for him and his family to make money. If you're a person who thinks Trump can't be bought, look in the mirror, slap yourself, and ask it again. And if your answer's still no, just keep slapping the fuck out of yourself until you realize he's the most obviously and transparently bought person in the history of the world. One last thing before I go. When I grew up in a cult, some of you know that. Any of you can go watch a cult documentary. And if you have time off, I would make this challenge to any Republican. Everybody should do this, but any Republican, I'm just going to challenge something. Truth only, I'm going to challenge you. I want you to go watch a cult documentary, whether it's about Jim Jones. You can watch. I highly recommend the Nixium cult. You can go watch the documents about Warren Jeffs. Any of them. Go watch those videos and watch the leader. And you'll notice that as the walls close in and as the cult becomes more notorious, you will notice the cult leader lying about obvious things and claiming while they're rolling in money, as all the money rolls in, the cult leader will be telling everybody in the cult that one, he's not bought and paid for, that two, the money is for protection, or the money is to build up the kingdom. And then you'll watch that cult leader go down. And you'll watch people in the cult still side with them. You are them. Go watch. In fact, another good one is the documentary on Waco. It was one of the most heartbreaking things I've ever seen in my life. I cried like a baby when it happened. But at the end of that Waco documentary, they interview some of the people who were at Waco who got out of the house before they did like the mass self-unaliving. And those people still believed. They still listen, stop saying Democrats. I'm just asking you to evaluate yourself. I'm not evaluating you. I'm asking you to watch these documentaries and see if Trump fits that mold. That's all I'm asking. I'm saying Democrats should do it too. But it was devastating to watch those people. The whole world knows it was a hoax. And 20 years later, they're like, you know what? David Koresh was Jesus. He was Jesus. I'm just challenging the Republicans. We watch this on our own. Also, Republicans, if you want me to believe that we are a cult, please tell me before I go. I need you to tell me who our leader is. Cults have one leader. One. So who is the leader of the Democrat Party right now? Oh, wait. Let's get some names here. I was born into a cult. Truth only. See how angry they get? This is how I reacted when I was in a cult. When people said I was in a cult, and all of these Republicans here, they can admit that the cult I was born in, Mormon Church, was a cult. But if you would have said that to me when I was Mormon, I would have said you were in a cult because I didn't know what a cult was. Nobody in a cult ever knows they're in a cult. Soros. Fuck George Soros. George Soros is a criminal. Now you say that about Donald Trump. Say, fuck Donald Trump, he's a criminal. It's pretty true. Notice how none of them have an answer? Michelle Obama. That's right. She doesn't speak, but somehow we all follow her. How hard
I don't know if you see the auto modded comments when you're on your end.
I don't.
Some of the auto modded ones are really, really special.
This is tough for you guys. You can't come up with an answer. Jasmine Crockett. She's in second place in a Senate race right now. A junior senator from Texas is our leader. Okay. You're writing in all caps, Truth. First of all, it's against the rule. Don't do that. But if you write in all caps, that's what it's supposed to mean. Boy, that was tough. Is Obama a bad person? I don't know Obama personally. I think his drone strikes were pretty gross. I think he obviously was a little too friendly with Israel now, looking back. I don't know if he's a bad person or not. I don't look to Obama as my leader. I think he was a good leader. Boy, you guys suck. Jesus. Who's the cult leader? I don't know. Fuck. One question. Schumer. Fuck Chuck Schumer. Chat, give me a thumbs up if you agree with me. Fuck Chuck Schumer. AIPAC. Fuck AIPAC. Chat, thumbs up if you say fuck AIPAC. You're running out of... This is tough for you guys to call us a cult. Who's your leader? It's Donald Trump. Well, a mindset can't be a cult, by the way. That's not what a cult is. And by the way, if you're saying like a woke mindset, are you saying empathy, like a bunch of people having empathy is a cult mindset? That's not what a cult is. Cults don't have empathy for people outside of their cults. That's you guys. You don't have empathy for anybody outside of your cult. You don't have empathy. Like, I have empathy. I think that people who come here illegally should be prosecuted. I don't think that they should be tortured. You guys think they should be tortured. That's a cult mindset. Yeah. See how nobody here? Now, Republicans, only Republicans. I need Republicans to say in the chat, fuck Donald Trump. You can't do it. It would be too hard for you to do it. Epstein donated millions of dollars to the Clintons and Schumers. Fuck the Clintons. Fuck the Schumers. Thank you. Cults don't have many factions of leaders, though, so that's the problem, Blazin. You're struggling here. Yeah, that was tough, guys. All right. I don't want to end on that note. To everybody that's here, however you're celebrating the holidays, whether you are Christian celebrating Christmas, Jewish celebrating Hanukkah, atheist celebrating whatever a holiday you're celebrating, I hope that you enjoy it. And that's for everybody, Republicans, Democrats, non-believers, whoever. I hope you guys have a great day off. I am just going to say I'm not going to be back on Friday. There's just no way I'm going to do research on Christmas. And it was hard enough today just doing a couple hours of research to do a show. I don't want to give you guys a half-ass show. So I'll be back on Monday, 8:30 a.m. to noon Pacific Standard Time. Replays are always available on Twitch and YouTube. You can watch them. A reminder, on Monday, movie night will be back. I need to apologize. I canceled. Jen, can you mute real quick? I'm getting feedback. I need to apologize for Monday. We had I just forgot about my plans on Monday. So Monday night is movie night returns. We'll be watching Dope Sick. If you're a paid member, either on YouTube or Twitch, we might be banned for a while on TikTok. Not sure. You can join us there for movie night, and we'll get you in the Discord. You can watch that. We'll see you then. Jen, any last words?
Just want to make sure we double check some of the. Jumar sent a message.
Jamar,
saying Mary, go ahead.
Merry Thickmas Eve. Heard you got that ass. Thank you. Maybe he was talking to you. I don't know.
I don't know. I think he might have been talking to you. So,
Jen, do you have dat ass?
I have a ass. I don't know if it's
ass?
that one,
Okay.
but hold on.
Okay.
Hi, bestie.
Hey, bestie. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Love you.
I love you too, bestie.
Bye.
So also, the TikTok ban, or we'll be back Monday. That'll go through on Monday. So.
Oh, it was reversed?
No, it wasn't reversed. It was denied. but we'll get the account back or the live access back on Saturday. So
Okay. All right, guys, we'll see you
Bye.
Monday. Jen, Merry Christmas. Enjoy your time with your family. I know you're really pumped about it, so enjoy. To all the mods, thanks for the hard work today. TikTok mods, I hope you enjoyed your half day off. I got the best mods in the biz. W mods in the chat, if you will. They are here sifting through shit every day. I appreciate you guys. Looking forward to seeing you on Monday and a new year. Try and take a day off if you could. You're not going to get any new information from this administration. So take a day off, enjoy time with your family or friends or by yourself. Stay cute and cool and have a great summer.